GoodRx saving a lot of money, saving that extra $200 to $300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Some gusty winds from the west-northwest going through our Monday afternoon with that clearing process continuing. Temperatures are going down. 48 by the time the sun goes down late this afternoon. Tonight, clear and cold, 34. Tuesday, sunny and 51. More rain, a cold rain, but all rain Tuesday night. Wednesday, some early showers, then clearing skies Wednesday afternoon at 46. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Make holiday magic this year with something beautiful and timeless from Diamonds Direct. A stunning diamond pendant, a pair of classic diamond stud earrings, something new and eye-catching from a world-class designer. Or maybe you're looking for that perfect gemstone piece or a fabulous timepiece. At Diamonds Direct, we have hundreds of styles that are ready to be wrapped and put under the tree. No need to wait for shipping. Come and let our experts help you pick out that headliner gift. Or for some fabulous ideas before you head to the store, see the online seasonal gift guide now at diamondsdirect.com. You can even chat now with a virtual assistant for the ultimate convenience. Whether you connect online or in person, you're guaranteed to get the extraordinary value, ironclad warranties, and white glove service Diamonds Direct is known for. And to help make your purchase even more affordable, we've got special financing so you can spread out your payments. Get directions, details, special showroom hours, and our holiday gift guide now at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
In Missouri, farming isn't just a profession, it's a purpose. You can feel it in our 27 million acres of farmland. You can see it in the nearly 41,000 Missourians who work in agriculture. You can hear it at our farmers markets. You can count it in the $93.7 billion it brings our state. And you can taste it at your family's dinner table. A lot of farmers in our state rely on Bayer's tools and inventions because Bayer has a purpose too. To help farmers thrive. Learn more at go.bayer.com/purpose. Paid for by Bayer.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This holiday season, be the MVP of your family and give the gift of Cardinals baseball. All-inclusive tickets are on sale now and feature a full buffet, complimentary bar, plus a great view of the game, and you can choose from the Budweiser 703 Club, UMB Champions Club, Proficient Red Jacket Club, and more. So treat your family, your friends, your clients, or just yourself with all-inclusive Cardinals tickets. They're on sale now at cardinals.com/holiday.
Cardinals single game tickets for the 2025 season, including opening day, are on sale now, just in time for the holidays. Give the gift of family time, date night, or hanging out with your friends under the stadium lights. The 2025 schedule is filled with great matchups, including weekends with the Dodgers, Yankees, Cubs, and more. The promo schedule is packed with fan favorites, too. There's something for everyone in the 2025 season, so get your tickets now at cardinals.com/holiday.
The Mark Cox Morning Show has free tickets to see Toto. When we tell you to call, hold the line and be caller number 12. Win tickets to see Toto August 5th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. It's all on the Mark Cox Morning Show this week.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. The Mark Reardon Show.
I hate people individually, but I love mankind.
Oh, you do?
The Mark Reardon Show.
I got into broadcasting because I like to give. Sometimes I found myself hurting from giving too much.
That's why I don't read the newspaper, because it's garbage.
The Mark Reardon Show is on now.
Well, good afternoon. Unfortunately, we have a school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin we're going to start covering here this afternoon as we get a little bit more when it comes to answers. Fred, how are you this afternoon?
I'm good, Mark.
Going to hang out this week. Sue is off. We do have Ethan and Fred. We're going to get you through it here. I feel like everyone has kind of shifted into holiday mode to a certain extent, but we do have a lot of stories to cover. We had Trump holding a, was it an impromptu to a certain extent? News conference?
I knew about an hour before.
Okay, but man, he
lasted it more than an hour.
Right. He was just, I think of this, Fred, and I think we can all relate with this. You frame it around the amount of times that Kamala Harris had, and by the way, I hear that they're thinking about her for California governor. Good Lord. I feel sorry for the people of California. But he spent more time this morning than maybe she did combined on the campaign trail in the final month or so. She did finally get out there and talk to people, but he had great Q&A with reporters today. They tried to take him down a couple of lanes, and he, I think, took him down different lanes. So we'll get to that as we move along. I will tell you that for me, and I'm going to cover some of the shooting stuff. Fred, have you looked at any of the credit card charges from the St. Louis Public Schools? It's even more stunning than I thought last week because I started paging through this. There's literally, I think there's like 150 pages in the document. It's essentially, envision your credit card bill, Fred, that you get. Marie probably takes care of that, right?
Right.
Comes from, I have a Southwest card, U.S. Bank. They send you the statement. Well, this thing goes on and on and on and on, and charges that are rather remarkable. So I'll get to that here because I've highlighted some of that. But let's start in Madison, Wisconsin. We got news, I think it was late morning, that there was a shooting at something called the Abundant Life Christian School, about 390. This is all ages, by the way. It's even a daycare. There's infants that are in this school as well. They had just begun their final week of classes. This is the police chief, Sean Barnes, up in Madison, Wisconsin.
These circumstances, I'll just give you a minute to start your live streams or do whatever you need to do. And while you're doing that, my name is Chief Sean Barnes, SHONBARNES. I'm currently the Chief of Police for the Madison Police Department. I'll be providing a brief update of the school shooting that we had today in Madison. There is some information that we're not going to release because it's still an ever-evolving situation.
Yeah, one of the things that happened earlier, there was a little bit of a mixed communication when it came to the number of people that were dead. At this point, I think we think 3 people were killed. And Fred, we think that includes the shooter, right?
Right. We've got 3 dead, including the shooter.
At one point during an earlier briefing, they had increased that number to 5, but I think that they had...
Then they backed off.
Right. The hospital, maybe there was some miscommunication with the hospital, but he goes on here.
You'll hear from some of our representatives from our city and from our county. And behind me are a lot of people who came together today to make sure that the day ended well and that everyone else was safe. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and start my remarks. Today truly is a sad day for Madison and for our country. It is a day that I believe will live in our collective minds for a very, very long time. Here are the details. Today at 10:57 a.m., our team was called to the Abundant Life Christian School in reference to an active shooter. We know that 3 people are dead, including the suspect shooter. We know that the suspect shooter was a teenage student who attended the school. At this time, we're not releasing the age or gender of the student or any other identifying remarks about the student.
Yeah, so you don't have a lot of information about who did this. They don't know the motive.
Many of you have asked me about the why of this. Why did this happen? What do we know? What was the motivation? I do not know. But I will tell you this, our detectives are working hard in an investigative process to find out as many answers as we can so that we can further prevent these things from happening, not only in this community, but in other communities around our country.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing. And Fred, you and I have been here for so many of these school shootings because they tend to, happen in the middle of the day and then they ramp up and we start to get details like this. Now, I want to point something and illustrate something here when it comes to the way that we cover some of these stories. And I think for many of you out there, it's not going to be surprising. This is another thing that the chief said.
I think we can all agree that enough is enough. And we have to come together to do everything we can to support our students, to prevent press conferences like these from happening again and again and again.
I bring that up because guess what's going to happen here, ladies and gentlemen, during the next 24 to 48 hours? All of the people who last week were glorifying gun violence against Brian Thompson will now call for gun control, right? Because some of the reaction that I'm continuing to hear, even Chris Rock in the Saturday Night Live monologue on Saturday night, clearly on Saturday night, that was a little redundant, but I'm rather shocked that it keeps happening.
Yeah, and the mayor of Madison, in her initial remarks, right away said, no surprise here. I've been outspoken for a long time about we need stricter gun laws.
Okay, we need stricter, but we didn't need stricter gun laws last week when the United Healthcare CEO is taken out, right? Then we're not worried about gun laws then. We're only worried about it when there's a school shooting at a school. I mean, this is what's going to happen with this narrative here. You know that. It's going to shift in the next couple of days on this, and hopefully we'll find some interesting information. But look, I've got information on this shooting right now that I think is very interesting. I'm not going to share it until we know a little bit more because it would be irresponsible. But I'm going to say that some of this is rather intriguing. So we'll continue to cover that. We do have the Trump impromptu newser from this morning. Josh Kraushaar is going to join us here in just a couple of minutes. 97.1 FM Talk Political Insider. He's the editor-in-chief of the Jewish Insider, and clearly, I think, one of the best political minds here covering politics in the country. He's been with us for a long time. Fred, I am very concerned about my daughter and her friends because I had a sleepover over the weekend. I didn't. My daughter did. Got 3 kids there, but these are kids that are all in this age group that they want iPhones, right? And I even think that some of these kids have smartphones at this point. My daughter does not. But Susan Linn is someone who wrote a book about all this, and she wrote about the topic in the American Prospect about how we should ban smartphones. And I don't know why this is so tough. I really don't. I'm very confused by this. You would think that this would be an easy thing to do. Some districts have done it, right? But I think it's super important, and we'll get to that. We have our state auditor, Scott Fitzpatrick, on this afternoon. He's doing the 12 days of Doge. I thought this was pretty clever on his social media last week. They've put together some fun videos, and he's doing his own version of cutting government waste and spending here in Missouri. So Scott will be here, the state auditor, in the 5 o'clock hour. And then Lauren Trager, who, Fred, I think she is currently the official investigative reporter for the Mark Reardon Show over at Channel 4. She did a story last week. We talked about it on the Reardon Roundtable about all these property owners getting big bills for repairs that they didn't agree to. And that's a fascinating story. But let me get to this, the St. Louis Public Schools situation with the credit cards and Keisha Scarlett, the former superintendent. And there's a lot of people that are in trouble or should be in trouble here. Steve Butts, who, of course, is the state representative, is all on top of this. He was on the roundtable on Friday. He, let me see here, because Steve just shared this with me, Fred, so let me pull this up. I think this is the letter that he sent to Gabe Gore. When I give you the details of this and when I highlight some of this here this afternoon, I think it'd be very difficult for some people to believe that there's not crimes that have been committed. And if there aren't crimes committed, well, then somebody should do something about that. And the laws or the requirements for using a credit card in St. Louis Public Schools and other taxpayer-funded agencies should really change. I'd like to see some of these credit card bills from the mayor's office, etc. So here's the letter that Steve wrote. Dear Circuit Attorney Gore, I'm sure you've had the chance to review the audit results of the inappropriate spending by disgraced and recently fired SLPS Superintendent Dr. Keisha Scarlett. Most recently, these findings and accusations are on the front page of the Post-Dispatch and numerous other local outlets as they investigate the situation. We are in such a precarious position in the city of St. Louis with having lost much of the public's confidence in public institutional leaders. A step in restoring that confidence is to hold those guilty of malfeasance, misappropriation, and embezzlement accountable. I'm imploring you to assign an investigation spearheaded by your office into these allegations. I think the Fed should probably be involved here, and maybe they are already, because sometimes we don't find this stuff out until after the fact.
And I think it's something you definitely need to bring up with the Missouri auditor when you get him on later today.
We'll have, I'm sure he's taking a look at this. So, Fred, I have, let's see here. I've got 6 pages, I think, of things that I highlighted, and I'm only on page 75. Okay, this thing is about 150 pages. I've tweeted it out. You can go to my site at Mark Reardon KFTK. The Post uploaded the document. It's a PDF. You can see, it's just a bank statement or several bank statements of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think we all in got $1.2 million in charges. Now, some of these I can't really describe, and I think some of them might be for official use, but I'm going to give you an example. There is a company out there called, it's identified as Identa-Go, I-D-E-N-T-A Go. Looks like they do background checks, right? But there are dozens and dozens and dozens of charges for $45.75. Now, I'm trying to think through this. Maybe this is because they're hiring new workers, they have to do the background check. But I'm telling you, there were so many charges for this. Now, again, you got hundreds of people that work in St. Louis Public Schools, so maybe there is some legitimacy to those charges. Those are not the ones I'm going to highlight here this afternoon. There are a ton of Southwest Airlines charges. Other airlines as well, but mainly Southwest. Maybe they had a Southwest credit card as well, and they were trying to rack up points. Now, I think this was a U.S. Bank credit card, though. They all, you know what they were doing, Fred? You fly every once in a while on Southwest, right? You have to call and get up the next morning, the morning before to check in. No, they didn't do that. They had the early check-in. You see several charges. So if you worked on the taxpayer dime, you're not going to get up and call, to check in or do it on your app at 5:30 in the morning if your flight leaves the next day. You're going to do early bird check-in and hit the taxpayers up for that. There are also on all the charges for the travel, there are agent fees involved, $35, $35, $35. That tells me that they're booking the travel with a travel agent. Apparently those still exist. And every time they book a flight, the agent gets $35. So there's $35, $35, $35. You'd think that maybe I'm going to offer some efficiency here for St. Louis Public Schools. I'll even volunteer to do it. I have enough time. I just do a radio show in the afternoon. I will come over to St. Louis Public Schools. I'll do it 3 days a week, Fred. What do you think? 3 days a week in the morning. I'll go over there, and I'll book your travel for you so you don't have the $35 fees. I'll do it out of the goodness of my heart just for the taxpayers here in St. Louis. Are you kidding me? They have...
where are they all going?
Well, they're going everywhere. They're going to San Diego. They're going to Dallas. They're going to Louisville. They're going to Chicago. They're going to somewhere out east that was a really nice resort, and I'll tell you that in a second. You have Party City fees here. Sam's Club, $250 here and there. DoorDash. Boy, they like to get DoorDash to deliver the food. They couldn't be troubled to go down the street and buy it themselves. They want to get DoorDash involved. Tons of Amazon charges. Lots of florists involved here. There were some several orders for $80 or more for flowers. I guess they were just thanking someone, Fred. Lots of Lyft charges. Club Car Wash. We know that Keisha put a little massage envy on this credit card as well. Walmart. In some of these at Walmart, there was a $1,500 charge at Walmart. What's Kona Ice? Is Kona Ice like one of those places that they do the Alexa? The kids love these things, not the ices, the icy things, whatever you call them, right?
Oh,
That's what is the damn thing called? Shaved ice. Shaved ice. Thank you, Fred. We're not in the shaved ice demo, I guess. Ethan had to yell that. Kona Ice, $519. There's a beautiful place called Chateau on the Lake Resort in Branson. Thousands of dollars there. Someone like Shake Shack, quite a bit. Dick's Last Resort, $540. Dairy Queen and Sonic, very popular, along with Panera, Wingstop, Papa John's. I'm talking dozens and dozens and dozens of charges. St. Louis Shirt Company. I meant to call them today. They paid St. Louis Shirt Company $3,800. Don't know what that was for. What was the T-shirt order there? Let's see if we can find out. The Hyatt Regency, you asked where they go, Fred. The Hyatt Regency in Dallas has 8 charges for $1,100 a piece, $1,106. 8 times, so that's $10,000 for people to stay at the Hyatt Regency. At the Hilton Philly, $2,800. Then there was the charges for Japan. There's a lot of international travel on here. There's an Airbnb that is in, well, it doesn't say where it was, but it was a big charge for an Airbnb. You have the Home Depot in Louisville. They needed something there. Lowe's, lots of charges at Lowe's. Best Buy, tons of charges at Best Buy. I'm hoping it was at least online because, hey, where can you find a Best Buy these days? They're all closed down. The Palmer House in Chicago, that's a pretty nice place, $397. 2 charges on October 5th of last year to the Chop House, $300 and then $486. So that's 2 different charges, almost $1,000. Gaylord National Resort, that's a 4-star resort. That's somewhere out east. It might be in New Jersey where the drones are being, discovered. $1,700, $350, and $1,400. 3 separate charges. Edible arrangements, $351. You got to send some, Fred, you got to send some cookies with the flowers, right? So that's understandable. This goes on and on and on and on and on. And again, I'm just through 73 pages of this. It is stunning. Now, I think that some folks gave some credit where credit is due because, lo and behold, we have some pretty good reporting on this from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. This reporter over there has dug into this, and this stuff's getting exposed, thankfully. But what are the consequences going to be? I mean, if the feds aren't involved in this, well, they should be. Because, and again, if in the end there's some sort of determination by Gabe Gore and the federal prosecutor that no crimes were committed here, well, the Board of Education has a lot of explaining to do here. And there's a lot of money that was essentially stolen from the taxpayers. If you don't have rules, Fred, we live in a different world, you and I, right? You at least existed in media when media did 2 trips. You would take trips and cover the Olympics or things along those lines, and you would keep track of your expenses and you'd turn them in. But I know that there used to be a different time in America before, certainly I think before 2005, the tax laws were different. There was a lot of stuff going on where companies would write down a lot of the entertainment and stuff like that. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. And, it does in a minimal fashion compared to what it used to be. But how can you, in any way, shape, or form, defend the majority of the purchases on these credit cards? You can't, you got to hit the taxpayers up. If you're the superintendent for St. Louis Public Schools, and if you're in the administration, you got to make sure that they pay for your Shake Shack, that they pay for your edible arrangements, that they pay for all your travel, that they pay for, Club Car Wash. It is unreal what happened. And this is just a year. This is just 1 year.
I didn't see a lot of educational
Well,
on there.
okay, there are, though. There's a lot of different charges for things with the Department of Education. Some of it is a little undefined, I'll be honest with you. We can ask Scott Fitzpatrick about that. But it is stunning. It really is. And here you go, another scandal here in St. Louis. Congratulations. Josh Kraushaar coming up.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, we've got some delays if you're headed on 64 westbound from about Kings Highway over to Big Bend, and then you've got more delays from, we'll call it Lindbergh at 270, then through Chesterfield. Your west or eastbound side, make that over the Poplar Street Bridge into downtown a little bit heavy. Southbound side of 55 is jammed up from roadwork delays. Southbound from Broadway to Bates and Bayless to Lindbergh, 270 southbound, Olive to 64 slow, northbound Manchester to 64, and we've got 44 westbound slow approaching 270 on that ramp to southbound 270. This report is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Trent Erickson with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Right now, the Fix-It-Right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a whole lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at JerryKelly.com.
Local news can come at you fast. Want the latest on what's happening in your backyard? Download the free Odyssey app. Follow your local news station, and you'll get alerts on the top stories making headlines in your city. You can stay in the know, no matter what you're up to, and be among the first to find out when news breaks. Plus, keep tabs on weather and traffic, so you're never caught off guard. To get started, download the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY, and follow your local news station.
Hey, if you heard that strange noise a couple of seconds ago, I heard it too. We're trying to work on that. Something in the computers was wigging out. Let me tell you about my friends at Neil Viton here in St. Louis. It's a great company that can provide you with a lot of help to support your nutrition. Why do you take vitamins? Well, they're really important to help your body grow, function properly, fighting infection, regulating hormones, maintaining your vision is even something that's affected by nutrition. You can get some vitamins and minerals from a good diet, but let's face it, we all have nutritional holes. And if you have food allergies or intolerances, well, you want to make sure you take a multivitamin like Neil Viton. If you're pregnant, it's an important thing to do. If you have a disease condition that affects nutrient intake, all good reasons for multivitamins, and Neil Viton's got you covered here in St. Louis. Great local company. Some of the money goes to cancer research. You get signed up for a subscription. They ship the vitamins to your door, and you have options too. You have the men's regular formula, women's formula.
men's 50 plus, women's 50 plus, and the Neovite fish oil tablets as well. They're all available for subscription or to buy in stores locally. Get started today at neovitan.com. That's neovitan.com.
The T.R. Hughes Homes for the Holidays display and inventory sale is going on now through the rest of the year. Hi, I'm Jason Hughes with T.R. Hughes Homes, and we have several quick move homes ready for immediate move-in. Save up to $50,000 on a brand new move-in ready home in one of our 4 beautiful communities. Come see why T.R. Hughes is St. Charles and now Warren County's premier home builder. Move-in ready, up to $50,000 in savings, just in time for the holidays. Visit trhughes.com for details. That's trhughes.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. We've negotiated over $5 billion in settlements. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. We've won millions for victims of truck accidents, drunk driving crashes, and workers' compensation. Call Onder Law, 314 or 618-9-million. That's 314 or 618-9, all zeros.
If you're looking for all the comforts of home plus some in a senior living community, check out Hampton Manor of Wentzville, just off the Lake St. Louis exit at Highway 70. They'll even treat you to lunch. Set up your appointment today and tell them Mark Cox sent you. WentzvilleAssistedLiving.com.
Financial health is more than just really the investments. You have to look at tax consequences. You have to think about legacy planning or generational planning or your healthcare options. Those all go together with your financial health.
Join Matt Goolsby for Retire Hour to hear his team in finance, healthcare, estate, and taxes discuss changes in law, strategic planning, and answer listener questions. Submit your questions to be answered live on air at retirehour.com. Retire Hour, Sundays at 7 a.m., right here on KFTK.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Ryan Wiggins here from Wiggins America and the Andy Fry Show. One of the best things that's under-celebrated about the holiday season is the time off, resetting for the coming year. And boy, do we have a big one ahead. Looking forward to it. Merry Christmas.
The snow is snowing, the wind is blowing, but I can weather the snow.
All right, I went to all Christmas bumps here for the next week until Christmas Eve. Sue, unfortunately, is not here this week. She will be back on Monday of next week. And I do have some fun Christmas stuff planned, including our friend George Gray from The Price is Right, who will be here to play The Price is Wrong. So President Trump had a bit of an availability with the media today, talked about a variety of topics, including some international affairs.
We're trying to help very strongly in getting the hostages back, as you know, with Israel and the Middle East. We're working very much on that. We're trying to get the war stopped, that horrible war that's going on in Ukraine, with Russia, Ukraine. We're going to, we've got a little progress. It's a tough one. It's a nasty one.
He covered a variety of topics this morning, went back and forth with the media. I think it was more than an hour. I heard a good portion of that. With us this afternoon, 97.1 FM Talk Political Insider, Josh Kraushaar, Editor-in-Chief of the Jewish Insider. How are you this afternoon?
Mark, it's great to be back with you.
How are things going? And what do you think of that? This is the first time you really heard extended answers, I think, from Trump since the election, isn't it?
Well, look, we haven't been used to hearing a president give straight answers and speak his mind and give that kind of extended press conference. I mean, it's been very, very rare for President Biden, especially in the back end of his one term in office, for him to do so. So it is sort of a change of pace, and I think you'll be seeing a lot more of that to come. You know, some controversial answers. I'm sure you've talked about sort of his talk about suing certain media organizations. I'm never supportive of that, even in except in rare situations, and that's, I think, going to make a lot of news on the media front. But there were a lot of newsy answers, and he often does tell you more than you expect to hear, whether it's from conversations with foreign leaders or just even leaking out some intelligence, perhaps, when it comes to some sensitive questions. So very, very newsworthy press conference today.
Well, RFK Jr. was one of the big topics. I think people trying to there seems to be this assumption in the legacy media that once this administration starts, that all kinds of vaccine mandates, et cetera, will just magically go away. So he was pressed on some of those things with RFK Jr. I think he had some pretty good answers on that. He talked about international affairs. I didn't hear if he talked talked about Doge at all and Vivek and Elon because he did cover a variety of topics. But, let me ask this question from just a political coverage perspective. You've been in Washington for a long time. We've known each other for a long time. To me, it seems like the tone has shifted a little bit since this election. And I don't know if you feel like Trump himself is changed. I think we have seen a little bit of a change since the assassination attempt, but it seems like everyone else's tone has changed. And I don't know if that's just because it's the way it is, Josh, and you have to accept them coming in. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the results speak volumes about where the country is. And in the aftermath of the 2016 election, Trump wasn't even sworn in when you had these leaks and this hysteria about Russian interference in the election and Trump being an illegitimate president and pretty much every element of the Washington bureaucracy attempting to stop him at all costs. So I think the public realizes that even if there was overreach on the Trump side, there's just as much overreach on the left and in the bureaucracy. And then there's a need for normalcy, for lack of a better word. In fact, if Biden got elected in 2020 to be a return to normalcy from some of the excesses and the chaos that people felt in the aftermath of Trump and the pandemic, I think it's unmistakable that the results this year, an even more decisive win for Donald Trump, is a result of the excesses of the left and just the fact that the progressive movement just went way too far on a whole host of issues. And Trump now looks like the moderate in many ways. He's actually seems like he's much closer to the mainstream in many ways than many elements of the left. So look, I think the devil's in the RFK Jr. It's interesting you mentioned that because that's going to be a big flashpoint in the new year, the confirmation hearing, whether Republicans are going to be behind him in full. But the issues of the polio vaccine. There was a report over the weekend about someone tied to RFK Jr. Trying to not make the polio vaccine mandatory and try to sue and initiate legal proceedings. That is the kind of mistake that a Trump White House would make if they actually think that some of the more zany conspiratorial theories from RFK Jr. should be policy. And I think Trump tried to kind of say, I'm president, and I'm not for getting rid of the polio vaccine. I'm not for getting rid of vaccines. I'm more into just kind of looking into like why autism. I think he said he wants to see why autism rates have spiked in the last few decades. So if that's the position, that's a much politically safer space to be. But RFK Jr. is going to have to answer for a lot of his own positions.
Sure, he will. Well, and he ruled a lot of this stuff out, and he did stand by, the polio vaccine. He said, his prediction was that Bobby's going to surprise a lot of folks. He's not as radical as you think. So that, should be interesting moving forward. What about the other cabinet picks? Obviously, and we haven't spoken really since the election. I didn't like the Matt Gaetz pick at all, which was pretty universal. That goes away quickly. I wasn't really sure about Pete Hegseth. I don't know much about him. I've certainly learned a lot here, and I know that there has been an attempt at a couple of political hit jobs, but it looks like he might survive, Josh.
Yeah, look, I actually think the most vulnerable nominee is Tulsi Gabbard at DNI, just simply because there are a lot of Republican traditionalists, for lack of a better word, who are very worried about comments she made very publicly about Syria, about Bashar the former and deposed dictator Bashar al-Assad, comments she made about Russia. There are a lot of Republicans privately that privately have issues with her. She also took a lot of votes when she was a Democratic congresswoman. Again, she spoke out against President Trump's decision to take out the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, cadre, and also spoke out in support of the Iran nuclear deal that Barack Obama championed. So there's a lot of positions on foreign policy where she's about as far away from a traditional conservative as you might expect. Now, I think many Republicans are going to fall in line behind Trump, but all you need is 4 Republicans, and I think she has not closed the deal yet in her initial meetings on Capitol Hill. Hegseth, I actually think he's had a good little stretch where he actually did what Trump asked him to do, which is to respond to these allegations, to do a PR campaign, to speak out. And I think he's moved the needle decisively in his favor. I think the big question for Hegseth, in addition to the personal issues, is whether he has the resume to really lead a huge bureaucracy and to manage one of the most difficult jobs in that cabinet. That is, I think, going to be one of the big subjects of the hearing, and it's the one that I think Republicans are willing to consider the overreach by the media in trying to dig into Hegseth's personal life. And a lot of those reports may have been, over the top, digging into, his mom's emails and that's reminiscent of the Kavanaugh hearing. There's a lot of things that just make people in the center to the center right kind of instinctively skeptical of some of those allegations. But I do think the question of whether someone who was a really good Fox and Friends weekend host is capable of making the leap to running the Pentagon. I think that's going to be the big question.
Josh Kraushaar here. He is the editor-in-chief of the Jewish Insider. There's a completely different feel for the incoming administration than there was in 2016, certainly with leadership in the House and the Senate. So how do you expect that to go? It seems like he does have a relationship with Mike Johnson. You have lawmakers that have been clearly tepid on this former president for a while that I think are ready to get things done, Josh, and maybe get things done quickly.
Well, if you remember, if you look at the cabinet picks for his first term, these were traditional Republican picks. These were you would not think anything would be out of the ordinary just based on the cabinet selection. Some of them actually ended up being closer to the Democrats and ended up speaking out against Trump and did not. And that was part of the problem that his cabinet picks in many ways were not aligned with him ideologically. This is a much more loyal and much more ideologically consistent group of nominees. There's some traditionalists that have become very supportive of Trump, whether it's Marco Rubio, Mike Waltz, I think was an excellent pick for National Security Advisor. You have a lot of folks at the health agencies under Robert F. Kennedy Jr., if he gets confirmed, that are sort of skeptical of the overreach of the public health officials during COVID. And I think the history has shown them that they were actually ahead of the curve on those issues. So there's a lot of very, very conventional, very, very well-regarded officials, but there are also a lot of loyalists, and there are a lot of MAGA folks that were not really represented very much in that first term. So that's going to be the big challenge. This is Trump's party now. It's not really as much a coalition of classical conservatives and more loyal MAGA supporters, but the MAGA side has taken the majority, and they're calling the shots. And I think that's going to be the first big test, whether that can have success on the governing front. I think it'll be less chaotic. There was chaos because there was no organizing principle. Everyone was doing their own thing in the first term. I think there'll be a lot less chaos, but the agenda may be a little bit out of touch with what many voters thought they were getting.
Josh, a little sadness here in St. Louis on Friday. I don't know if you saw, there were only a couple of people in that House chamber when Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman said farewell. I think there were 5 total, and you would have thought there would have been a little bit bigger of a legacy for our friend Cori Bush. So that makes me sad.
I thought you were talking about Nolan Arenado becoming a free agent. No,
we could talk baseball
you're
too.
right. You're right. The squad. I mean, this is the squad members. I think it was only the squad that was in the House chamber when Cori Bush made her goodbyes. I mean, that is the level of support pretty much that these folks have. Yet their views have really seeped in to some of the Democratic Party orthodoxy on a whole host of issues, including like Israel, anti-Semitism, and how to fight it, Middle East policy, foreign policy. That a lot of those views were very costly for Democrats, even if Democrats didn't embrace everything Cori Bush said. The fact that they didn't condemn her radical views, I think paid quite a cost in the election for Democrats.
I think you're right, and some of that cost might even be paid here by our mayor, who's up for re-election early next year in St. Louis. But one thing that I think is true, and you go back a week ago, I wasn't too concerned going back a week ago today that there were going to be big riots in the streets over the Danny Penny verdict, because BLM has lost its relevance. And I think what happened on Friday with Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush really, speaks volumes to that. All right, you brought up baseball. There's several guests that I always talk baseball with. Jennings certainly one of them. Josh and I go way back talking about baseball. Sometimes we're sharing in our differences, and the Nationals are at the bottom, the Cardinals are at the top. Sometimes they're about the same. But right now, both teams have been struggling a little bit, and they have this golden at bat idea that they floated out there. I haven't heard your response to this nonsense, Josh.
Well, nonsense is the right word for it. I mean, look, the commissioner is almost trying too hard to figure out what's wrong with the game. I'll give Manfred credit for the pitch clock and speeding up the game.
Oh, I will too.
But these gimmicks, including this inane extra inning rule where you now have a runner at second base.
I hate that. Yeah, I don't like that.
To me, I used to get the MLB package just to watch extra inning games because it's the most exciting sudden death moment in baseball. Now that they add this artificial runner. So, I thought, it actually lost my engagement.
Well,
They've
me
actually
too.
lost me.
Look, it's almost like a 2-point conversion where if you get someone on second, it's pretty bad if you can't get them home, right, with nobody out. So, you kind of go back and forth a little bit. That's the one I hate as well. And there seems to be, with most of the baseball fans that I chat with, that seems to be universal. But this thing, look, I give them credit for creativity. You know that the demos are a bit of a challenge for baseball. We all grew up with it. We played baseball. This is different for kids in this country right now. So I understand that, but it did seem like a trial balloon that got deflated rather quickly.
Well, if I was commissioner, I'd run right to David Zaslav at TNT, who just lost the NBA. I'd say, we'll give you 3 nights a week of Major League Baseball, the best games, market the stars, show highlights, like market the sport like they used to be. I mean, I think that the biggest failure of Major League Baseball is to stop marketing the stars of the game and frankly the games that are provides the background music to my summers. Like there always are pennant races. There's always amazing games, always amazing stories, and they've just basically seeded sort of the mainstream. We used to, you used to turn on ESPN and you got Baseball Tonight, you got Game of the Week. I mean, that was part of the television landscape. Now they basically seeded that space, and this is not a sport that's geared towards streaming or the TikTok, or it's a sport that you have on all summer. You're going to games, you're watching on TV. You want to hear about the stars that are hitting home runs and pitching, amazingly. So, I think it's a big marketing failure, and the fact that you don't see. TNT lost the NBA. They need sports programming. You don't see Manfred saying, "Let's cut a deal. Let's get Major League Baseball on TNT and market it and promote it like it should be promoted." The big mistake and big missed opportunity in my mind.
And I go beyond that because you look at the NFL and what they've done with Netflix or Max on some of the behind the scenes. I'm a big fan of Hard Knocks, and they've expanded that franchise considerably. They had wide receiver and quarterback, and that gives you the ability as a fan to sort of get to know these players that you might even hate on the other teams. I've not seen really Major League Baseball do any of that.
No, I mean, honestly, there is something to be said that you get more excited about sports when you hear about them on sports radio, when you see the highlight shows on TV, ESPN, NFL Live, and they have hours and hours of NBA programming. The fact that there's been no push by Manfred to actually have an equivalent of they used to do that all the time for baseball. Baseball Tonight used to be on the network all the time. And the fact that Manfred isn't browbeating ESPN, isn't trying to cut a deal with Turner, and there's a mutual interest there. I think
it's a problem.
It's missed opportunity, and I think that's Manfred's tenure.
But for those of us here in St. Louis, Josh, you might be able to relate. It's going to be a few years before we even care about baseball anyway. Just so you know, unfortunately.
Well, we're not spending money either on free agency. So.
No, I get it. Hey, listen, have a great holiday. Happy Hanukkah. I guess Christmas, Hanukkah on the same day, the start this year, and we'll talk after the first of the year.
Thanks, Mark. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you in the new year.
Take care, Josh K.
What do I care if bicycles fall?
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Things are a slow go, 270 southbound. Some spots that go from Olive down to Tesson Ferry. Northbound side, Manchester to 64, a little tight, 55. The southbound, we've got some roadwork delays that go Broadway to Bates and then Bayless to Lindbergh. 64 eastbound, heavy Jefferson over the Poplar Street Bridge. We've got westbound delays that go from Kings Highway to Hampton, Lindbergh to 270, then through Chesterfield. And 44 westbound, slow onto that southbound 270 ramp. From the Cordell and Cordell Domestic Litigation Firm Traffic Cam, I'm Trent Erickson with Traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Sponsored by Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills. Jewels on Hampton pays some of the highest prices for your diamonds, semi-precious colored gems, gold, coins, precious metals, collectibles, sports memorabilia, and more. Shop Jewels on Hampton for the perfect gift. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton Avenue in St. Louis Hills.
Hey, maybe you have a little bit of your health savings account money left over or the money that you save before taxes, and it's a good time to get your eyes checked at Ophthalmology Associates. Your vision is their business. We call them the doctors because more doctors here in St. Louis visit these doctors, Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Samuel Berry, Robert Brusani, and Andrew Royer, outside of any other ophthalmologists here in St. Louis. And they have a great location, which isn't too far from 270 in Manchester. Now, I take great care of my eyes because, with the help of Ophthalmology Associates, because I had an eye disease. This goes back more than 3 decades, but you could have something that pops up in your eyes that's real easy to take care of, like dry eye. You could have something more serious, and an annual eye exam or an eye exam with the team at Ophthalmology Associates is going to root that out maybe sooner than expected, which is a good thing. Make an appointment with the team today, 314-966-5000. One of the things I always like to say about Ophthalmology Associates is the entire staff, like the office is beautiful. The office visit experience really is unique, because I don't remember going into a doctor's office, any kind of doctor, having the comfort and they're just friendly. Maybe it's because I'm not very friendly. I experience a lot of their friendliness, but they do a great job. That's my point. YourEyeDoc.com, Ophthalmology Associates.
Count on Steel for Christmas cleanup made easy with the SEA20 battery-powered handheld vacuum. Now just $99.99. Visit your local Steel dealer today or shop online at SteelUSA.com. Valid offer for a limited time, only at participating dealers while supplies last.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey St. Louis, are you in search of top-notch cybersecurity solutions? Look no further. ThrottleNet is here to help. Ransomware attacks are on the rise, putting businesses like yours at risk. Don't let cyber criminals jeopardize your hard-earned success. ThrottleNet provides comprehensive cybersecurity services tailored specifically to your unique needs. Our award-winning customer service provides 24/7 protection to keep your data safe and secure. Take charge of your digital security today. Protect your business, protect your future. ThrottleNet.com, your reliable partner in cybersecurity.
Hi, this is Debbie Monterey, inviting you to donate blood at the Odyssey Holiday Heroes Blood Drive. Be someone's hero for the holidays. Give blood. Join us Tuesday, December 17th through Friday, December 20th at several YMCA locations near you. All presenting donors will receive a long-sleeve Red Cross t-shirt. Please call 1-800-RED-CROSS to schedule an appointment or visit redcrossblood.org. Use sponsor code AUDACY, AUDACY.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Tuesday, Amendment 3 may have passed in the last election, but Senator Adam Schnelting has filed a bill to challenge it. We'll talk to him at 8:20.
Weekdays from 5 to 9
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
That is my friend Anthony Cusumano on lead vocals there. Holiday Road cover. Fantastic Cat is the band. They were just here in St. Louis, Break Room Concerts, not too long ago. This is quite the media story, ladies and gentlemen. Let me highlight something that you're definitely not going to hear on CNN. I didn't really cover the Syria issue last week very much. There was so much other news going on with Danny Penny, and geopolitical stories not necessarily my strong suit. But it was quite an event last week when Bashar al-Assad's regime basically comes to an end. So there's a reporter named Clarissa Ward that works for CNN, and she's an interesting case. Even outside of what I'm about to describe to you, because she boasted back in 2021 that she basically stopped looking at U.S. policy in Syria as a journalist, only as an activist, because she was so enraged by what Barack Obama would not do to remove Assad that she decided she was going to take a stand. So anyway, the regime ends. They're hooting it up in the streets. Clarissa Ward makes her way over to what they describe as a secret facility. I'm going to play you some of the reporting here.
We go in to get a closer look. It's still not clear if there is something under the blanket. Is there someone there?
Pretty dramatic here. They see someone under a blanket, or they think someone's under a blanket. Is it a person?
Or is it just a blanket?
I don't know. It is a person, actually, but what they're looking for is Austin Tice, who is the young American kidnapped about a dozen years ago. We have not heard from him since. The family did hear that he was alive, so she doesn't find that, but then this guy pops out underneath the blanket.
I'm a civilian, he says. I'm a civilian.
He appears to be...
The fighter, he's from the city of Humps and has been in the cell for 3 months.
Yeah, he's very confused. He's just coming out of the cell.
You're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
Listen to the end here real quick.
He clutches my arm tightly with both hands.
Oh, I don't think that's the one. At one point, I think it's the next one. He kisses her. So Clarissa Ward is, guiding her CNN audience through this amazing discovery of this dude that had to have been tortured. He says 3 months in this prison in Syria, right?
My. Okay, it's water. It's water.
Here Clarissa gives this man water, trying to find out what this is all about, and they have a translator there, of course.
Okay.
She's reassuring him.
We start to walk him outside. Thank God you are safe. Don't be afraid, the fighter says. You are free. This is the third prison they brought me to, he says. The third prison. After
he's telling this story here.
Windowless cell, he can finally see the sky.
3 months, and he's looking up, and he's seeing the sky, and he's amazed.
My God,
Here's the one here, listen.
Oh God, there is life. My God, there is light.
Yeah, did you hear the kiss there at the end? He gave her a little kiss, Clarissa. Now, some of you probably realize at this time, there has to be, remember when Paul Harvey used to do the rest of the story, there has to be more to this story, right? Because Clarissa Ward is just basically covering the rescue of this prisoner.
You're okay. Stay with me. Stay with me. Repeats again and again.
Okay. All right, well, here's the problem. That guy was part of Assad's forces. He was a notorious member of Bashar al-Assad's forces, and he was known to people as someone who would torture them if he or they would refuse to pay him off. So what was interesting here is, and some of you might have seen this on Twitter last week, even though I didn't talk about this story, I remember seeing some of the accounts. And there were some people that were saying, wait a second, this guy looks pretty well manicured. His haircut's good. His beard is trimmed. He certainly doesn't look like he's lost weight. He's in this prison cell for 3 months. We think he'd look a little different. And I checked. The guy has not been nominated for a Critics' Choice Award or a Golden Globe. But if you could watch the video, when I'm playing that audio, you can see that he's completely acting. He's looking up in the sky. He's acting like, oh, I've been here. I just need some water. I'm so grateful to this American media person in Clarissa Ward. But it was odd because he looks up into the sun and he was in this dark cell for 3 months. That would be a little bit more painful. So maybe the acting job wasn't quite as good as we expected. Now, I don't know how CNN is handling this. I really don't. But this is another embarrassing legacy media chapter here. Clarissa Ward thinks that she's got a hero to show to the world, and he's one of the bad guys with Assad. So congratulations, legacy media, on some really good work here. Soon's off. We got Ethan's news coming up.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Things are getting slow if you're on 270 southbound, spots from Olive down to Tesson Ferry. Northbound side, you get a Manchester up to 64. 64 eastbound, heavy Jefferson over the Poplar Street Bridge. Your westbound side, Kings Highway to Hampton, slow, then Lindbergh to 270, and then through Chesterfield all the way. You've got 44 westbound, slow approaching 270, and 55 southbound delays that go from Broadway to Bates and Bayless to Lindbergh. This report is sponsored by GL International Realty. Sell your home with trust, confidence, and written guarantees. Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed. Realty is St. Louis's real estate expert. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. I'm Trent Erickson with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, I heard a little bit earlier this afternoon from my friend Michael Kenny with Defined Destinations with some really, really good news. Maybe it's bad news for you if you're thinking about going to Greece. We have one cabin left. So if you are thinking about going to Greece, this would be the time to act. Mike does say that he might be able to add more cabins. Maybe not, though. This is a very, very, small ship. We go to Athens on April 27th with the group of 97.1 FM Talk listeners. We are there until May 7th, not just in Athens. We go to all the beautiful islands, and it's a cruise ship that really only has 197 passengers, so very, very intimate. It's not like a big Carnival Cruise Line or Holland America or something like that. The trip is really going to be amazing. Mike will make it special. I've traveled with him 2 times previously. I have some of my personal friends who are going on this trip. But again, we only have one more cabin left. It is going to be amazing. April 27th through May 7th. A couple of ways to find details. If you go to the top of my Twitter page, I have pinned the details of the trip. Or you can just choose to go to defineddestinations.com. All the details. Get signed up. One cabin left. Come to Greece with us in 2025.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. If you need to sell your home to buy a new one, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator that you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman on your side. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
At Odyssey, we believe in casting a wide net to create a diverse and inclusive workforce, as we value the power of community and encourage local organizations to help us in referring qualified applicants to our stations. If you're a community organization interested in receiving our vacancy information, simply email equalemployment@odyssey.com. You'll be directly notified of our open positions. Again, that's equalemployment@odyssey.com. And for our listeners, we invite you to visit odysseyinc.com/careers. There, you'll find an online listing of job openings at all Odyssey radio stations.
Looking forward to speaking with Susan Linn, who is a lecturer and an author. She wrote a book and a piece recently called The Movement to Free Schools of Smartphones is Winning. I hope so. It's a very important topic. We'll get to that after Ethan's news. Sue is out.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Motive is not known. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. But the end result is heartbreak at a Christian school in Madison, Wisconsin.
Today at 10:57 a.m., our team was called to the Abundant Life Christian School in reference to an active shooter.
Madison Police Chief Sean F. Barnes says the mass shooting was confined to one space and that the suspect, a teenage student, was found dead. A student and a teacher were killed, 6 other students wounded, including 2 in critical condition.
I think we can all agree that enough is enough, and we have to come together to do everything we can to support our students, to prevent press conferences like these from happening again and again and again.
Abundant Life is a small private school, about 390 students, grades K through 12. Wisconsin's governor ordering flags to half staff as that investigation continues. Fox News has learned the House Intelligence Committee will get a briefing on drone sightings tomorrow from the FBI, CIA, and intelligence officials.
So the Pentagon came out today and said that a drone incident that was reported over the weekend at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base just outside Dayton, Ohio, they believe
month is unrelated to these other mysterious drone sightings that were going on about a month now, still with no answers. And earlier today, President-elect Donald Trump applied a bit more pressure on the Biden administration, saying that he thinks President Biden and our military know what's going on, and they just won't tell the American people.
I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on.
Trump declined to say if he received an intelligence briefing on the drones. It is impacting several states from coast to coast. The investigation, though, remains centered in New Jersey.
Fox's Nate Foy, a White House official, says the sightings appear to be a combination of commercial, hobbyist, and law enforcement drones, as well as aircraft mistaken for drones. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details. Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Some gusty winds from the west-northwest going through our Monday afternoon with that clearing process continuing. Temperatures are going down. 48 by the time the sun goes down late this afternoon. Tonight, clear and cold, 34. Tuesday, sunny and 51. More rain, a cold rain, but all rain Tuesday night. Wednesday, some early showers, then clearing skies Wednesday afternoon at 46. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. Fresh plans from Honeywell International to consider the sale or spin-off of its aerospace unit is pushing their share price to a potential new all-time high. Honeywell's move also drew praise from one of the most high-profile stakeholder activists, Elliott Management. The Federal Reserve is set to begin its two-day policy meeting tomorrow. It's been widely expected by experts that Fed officials will cut rates once again by a quarter point at the conclusion of its meeting on Wednesday. On Wall Street today, stocks finished the session mixed, with the Dow dropping 110 points, the S&P 500 gained 22, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq set a fresh record up nearly 250 points. The National Retail Federation says they're predicting strong retail sales for November and December that will see a year-over-year increase of between 2.5% and 3.5%. That's Your Money Now.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
It's Mark Reardon for New Perspective Senior Living in Weldon Spring. It's a brand new, beautiful facility that offers state-of-the-art independent and assisted living and a memory care facility. They have holiday specials on select apartments right now. New Perspective is redefining senior living, but just don't take my word for it. Call to schedule a free lunch and activity to experience it for yourself. Visit npseniorliving.com. That's N as in Nancy, P as in Paul, seniorliving.com.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, it's Annie with my friend Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage. We've been covering this, and interest rates here at the end of the year, we thought they'd be lower than they are right now. Stewie, is it still a good time to refinance?
Well, Annie, this is a discussion we've had with many, many people. They thought the interest rates would be much lower. Do they wait? Do they not wait? Well, take advantage now. This is a strange world that we're in. The climate can change, and all of a sudden interest rates are back up. Refinance now with the bagel loan. If they go down later, you can always do it again.
With the holiday season right now, how about getting cash out of all of that equity a lot of people see in their homes?
Oh, I have a great story for you. This couple over here, the husband went behind the wife's back, went ahead and did a cash out refinance. She didn't know what was going on. Took cash out to remodel their entire kitchen. Their payment went up $5 a month because they were at a higher rate. They went down to a lower rate. It was a great opportunity. She's going to have a great holiday.
That's amazing. Good husband. Good job this holiday season. If you want to reach out to Stewie, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan for more information. And MLS number 226715.
It's Mark Reardon from my friends at Zero Res. Here's a question for you. You need to answer honestly. Is your home ready for the holidays? If you haven't had the carpets cleaned in a while, the answer is no, and this is the time to do something about it. And I have a great offer from my friends at Zero Res right now during the month of December. I've had Zero Res in my home so many times over the last decade. Unfortunately, a lot this year because of pet accidents. They can always help you in a pinch. But for some overall cleaning, getting your home ready for the holidays, maybe getting the gunk out of the air ducts, this is a great time to do it. Call Zero Res at 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. And the offer, when you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk for the month of December, 3 rooms starting at $129, $75 off your air duct cleaning package. They have great customer service, a ton of crews, and the legendary 30-day Gotta Love It guarantee. Book your appointment today. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res. Call 314-474-2020 or online, ZeroResSTL.com.
Mark Reardon on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
I have to play this one when Sue Thomas isn't here.
Call me back, no Santa. I make my runs about the break of day.
I always get dirty looks when I play Clarence Carter in Backdoor Santa. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Christmas classic amongst the rest of the field. You know, Silent Night, Deck the Halls, Backdoor Santa. Yeah. So we'll be back next Monday, not last Monday. She'll be back here on Monday. We're already putting the show together. Fred is going to be off all of next week, and it's not, as you know, executive producer of this show, it's not always easy to get a guest like on a holiday or especially Christmas week.
Or today.
Yeah, well, we think we're okay for today. No, but, you know, in fairness, Fred, and we feel this, I think people in the audience feel this, everyone is very, very, I'm not even say slowly segueing into Christmas and holiday mode. They're there already. Nobody wants to work
They've
this
checked
week.
out.
The kids don't want to be at school, right? My daughter's very excited because she gets a half day on Thursday, and they're off on Friday, but everyone wants to get here to Christmas, and we're almost there. But along those lines, we are putting some things together for next Monday and Tuesday, including our friend George Grad. Checked in with George today from The Price is Right. He's coming into St. Louis this weekend. He's going to visit with us next Monday, I think, in the 4 o'clock hour. Fred, you won't be here to play The Price is Wrong, though, right?
I know. That's too bad, Mark. You'll have to win on your own.
Well, Sue will be here, and we'll see. I'm going to have, if producer emeritus Dave Klein is listening this afternoon, he's going to be tasked with coming up with the items for that. My friend Johnny Holzen will also be with us next week from the Well Hungarians. They have a big event coming up for New Year's, and I think John's going to come in here and play a little Christmas music on Christmas Eve. I get to play Christmas music in the 5 o'clock hour, so I am excited about that. A couple of things that I wanted to get to here as we start this hour. Let me start with Chris Rock. Did you watch Saturday Night Live?
No.
All right, so I didn't see the whole monologue. I like Chris Rock. I think he's funny, but then, you know, you have a joke like this.
He actually killed a man with a family with kids, man. I mean, I have condolences. I'm going to have real condolences for, you know, the healthcare CEO. I mean, this is a real person, But you also got to go, sometimes drug dealers get shot.
So, humor for me can be controversial and it can be inappropriate. I don't think that was very appropriate, and I don't think it was even that funny. So, but I like Chris Rock sometimes. I think his material is pretty good, but it just baffles me that this continues to be a thing. And I brought it up in the last hour. We had a school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin. Several people are dead, including the shooter. We got details that are going to still emerge about that. But as gun control wasn't mentioned, there's two moments. There's two inflection points in U.S. history in 2024 where you didn't hear any mention of gun control. And I think we know, maybe there's three. The Trump assassination attempt. And, our friend Selena Zito, is Selena here tomorrow, Fred?
Yes.
She tweeted, somebody was tweeting along these lines today about, gun control not being an issue, certainly with Trump and the assassination attempt, but now it is. It certainly wasn't last week with Brian Thompson as well. But one of the things that Selena said, I pressed like on, we still, 4 months later, we don't know anything about Thomas Crooks. Nothing about that guy. That's weird. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that is absolutely bizarre. So Selena will be here tomorrow, and maybe we'll ask her some of that. But even Charlemagne the God is out there saying, look, you guys are crazy with all this Luigi love.
I don't understand why people are celebrating him being killed, because at the end of the day, like I said yesterday, he's dead. His kids don't got no father. That 26-year-old Luigi or whatever his name is, he's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. And the healthcare system is still the same today.
Nothing changes.
The healthcare company's still denying claims and everything today. So what did that accomplish? And why are you happy about him being gunned down like that?
But people are, and it's rather sick. And then on a very sad note here today, and I just wanted to mention this just because he was a big presence here in St. Louis. And we've lost a guy that a lot of people knew, and I knew him pretty well, Bill Greenblatt, who was a UPI photographer. He was a Mizzou guy, and Bill was one of those guys that everybody, if you're in media in particular,
he was
kinda
everywhere.
Knew. He was, and he was a St. Louis, he was a firefighter, and he was a member of the public information team for the fire department. So he was always shooting a lot of the things that happen in the city. But Fred, I don't think I was ever at a baseball game where Bill Greenblatt was not in the, what do they call that little place where, it's next to the dugout, and he's shooting things nonstop at Busch Stadium. So he was always there. I was unaware. Maybe this is because I hadn't been to many baseball games in 2024, but he, I guess, had a cancer struggle. He was only 70 years old. One of his good friends was Sheryl Crow. I don't know if she's weighed in today, but Bill knew Sheryl from back in the Mizzou days, and I know that they kept in contact. He went to Ladue. He worked at Keishi for a little while back a long time ago, but really it was photography was his passion. So Bill Greenblatt dead at the age of 70. And he was inducted, thankfully, we don't have to do this posthumously, he was inducted in the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame, Fred, in 2017. We're not going back to the 19s, 2017. The Jack Buck Awards are tonight at the MAC. I'm going to head over there. I'd be surprised if Bill's not mentioned tonight because he would probably be there taking pictures.
He was known by everybody. I mean, wherever you'd go, he'd be there. That was the eerie thing. He was just at every event.
Yeah, he would be at charity events taking pictures. I know every once in a while I'd be at a Cardinals game, and if I'd wave to him, he would, even if it was from a distance, he would take a picture of me and my group, and then he would post it on my Facebook page, and that was a lot of fun. And, I reached out to a couple of people today who I thought knew Bill, and they did. And, one of the things that my friend Fitz said is that he was a photographer for the Salvation Army as well. And Fitz had run a facility for the Salvation Army because that's how he knew him. So a lot of people, to your point, Fred, knew who Bill Greenblatt was, dead at the age of 70. That's rather sad. We wanted to share that this afternoon. Ethan, are you ready for Ethan's news?
I've never been more ready.
All right, let's see. Don't suck today. That's my one piece of advice. Here we go.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
So I'm going to go ahead and start off Ethan's news today with something that I don't think would really apply to any of us three, being that we are in radio. There's a thread online going around right now where people are suggesting jobs that are perfect for people who don't like people. And
Well, can I raise my hand here, Ethan, and see if we can get anywhere? Really?
Well, you're in the wrong business.
Well, I've joked about this because, if radio or when radio ceases to exist and I have to get a real job to put my daughter through school, the QT seems like a great place to work. It really does.
Why?
I don't know. They seem to have good benefits.
Are you fast
I see
enough?
signs all the time. No, that's the problem. You have to be fast and you have to be friendly. The friendly part is where I'd get challenged, I think, on some of this stuff.
So there's 15 options on here,
All
and I'll
right.
just highlight a couple of them. Among them, this is at 15, so I don't want to I'm saying this first. I don't want to make people think this is first, but Assassin made the list. So that's one.
Yeah, you don't really need friends when
No,
it comes to that,
no,
right?
Number one on the list is power plant operator, and the quotations next to it is, most of it is sitting in a room at a control panel that auto fixes itself 99% of the time. That sounds like not too bad.
That's boring.
Lighthouse keepers is on there. Night shift security guards at museums. The quote next to it is, might not sound exciting, but they've made movies about this sort of thing.
I mean, but they've made movies where all that stuff in the museum comes to life,
Mhm.
right? I don't think I'd want that.
Commercial truck drivers, just about as lonely as you can get there.
Let me stop on that. And there's probably truckers listening. I think that would be for someone like me, it would be very difficult. I know that we need these people. There was a guy that I used to play poker with in Milwaukee, and he would leave. I can't remember where he was going to Indianapolis. So he would leave from Milwaukee like 11 o'clock, and then he would go to Indianapolis and he'd come right back. And that was his gig, like 4 to 5 days a week. And I'm like, man, I mean, you get used to it, and everybody's got their jobs. And I know there's people listening that have routes that they do that, but that would get a little monotonous for me. And
I
then
have a neighbor that does it every day from St. Louis to Indianapolis.
really,
Wow.
But these trucking companies are very, very serious. They don't want lawsuits. Safety is very important for obvious reasons. You can't even have your phone. I guess you can maybe listen to the radio, but they really restrict what you can do in the truck when you're driving, don't they?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you would think. I
yeah.
think they totally make sure that you don't use your phone, and they have ways to detect even if you're checking for texts and stuff like that.
I would totally just be 1,000 pounds. I would just overeat all the time if I were a truck driver. Just trying to stay awake, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'd just constantly be eating.
Not a lot of movement. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be tough. Okay, the last one I'll mention is welder, and the reason I'm mentioning this one is because the person added in quotations next to it, most welders hate people. I am a welder myself, which is how I know. Another person added, I'm a welding inspector. I believe welders are the reason I can't stand people.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty funny. We always have that mask on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I've never welded. Fred, have you welded before?
No,
Never
I haven't.
Never
Nope.
have.
So with this next one, I'm gonna make you guys feel old. These are
My neighbor, I gotta tell you.
Okay.
I have like a 18-year-old neighbor who's just finished welding school, and he's a journeyman welder.
Good for him.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, Lewis and Clark Community College has one of the best welding programs in the country, just across the river in Godfrey.
Who knew? There you go.
Okay, back to it. I'm gonna make you guys feel old. These are pop culture moments
Yep.
that'll be a decade old
Let me
in
tell you,
2025.
It doesn't take too much to do this.
I know.
to
Well,
us,
this
Ethan,
is
so
this
not
is
a lot of
gonna-
effort required.
This is gonna make me feel like, whoa, where did time go? Star Wars returned with The Force Awakens a decade ago. The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 came out, ending the Hunger Games saga. Apple Watches were making their debut. Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars was the biggest song of the year. Left Shark upstaged Katy Perry during the Super Bowl halftime show. Who remembers that?
You remember
one?
that? Yeah, of course.
You remember that,
No.
Fred?
No.
So basically what happened was during that year's Super Bowl halftime show, she had a very tropical themed performance. And at one point in the show, there were two sharks, like shark
Right.
mascots,
Right.
dancing next to her.
Oversized
And-
sharks with like costumes on.
and one of them just completely went off course.
Yeah.
Completely just lost, had no idea what the
Google it.
the choreography was. They were just flopping around everywhere, and it became a huge
Yeah, it
thing
became a
on the
thing.
internet. Huge
Wow.
thing. Zayn Malik announced his departure from One Direction. This is kind of funny. Taylor Swift's 1989 tour was the highest grossing tour of the year. So
Isn't
she
that
has
amazing?
a pattern
Wow.
of that. Steve Harvey announced the wrong Miss Universe. Remember how
Was that
big of a deal
10
that was?
years ago?
10 years
that was
ago.
such a big deal when it happened
Yeah.
too.
The mannequin challenge dominated social media. Do you guys remember the mannequin challenge?
Which
where
one was
everyone,
that?
Everyone was like, the song Black Beatles played and everyone froze.
Oh, I think I do remember
that
a little
one.
bit, yeah.
That was really popular on social media. Tom Holland was cast as Spider-Man. David Letterman hosted his final late show, and Jon Stewart hosted his final daily show. Parks and Recreation aired their final episodes, and then The dress, was it white and gold or black and blue? Broke the internet.
Yeah.
That one too.
That was 10 years ago.
All of that
Wow.
10 years ago. You guys, I hope that we don't get to the point where you guys start questioning my masculinity, because this is, I think, of 3 Sue's News that I've hosted, I've now brought up Taylor Swift
That's
3
okay.
times.
I'm a Swiftie, so you're good with me.
Well, on the last Sue's News, I brought up that she celebrated her birthday on Friday, and I found some information about how much Travis Kelce spent on her party and gifts. Any guesses here? Any guesses? I'll give you. My hint is that it's in the 6 figures.
3 million.
Well, that would be the 7 figures.
Oh,
I think.
okay.
But
All right.
$350,000 on gifts for his girlfriend. Over $19,000 on 35 luxury flower arrangements. $60,000 for a rose gold day date 36 Rolex. $22,000 for a Tiffany and Company gold split cuff bracelet. It just keeps going on and on and on. Man, must be nice.
They just tell people everything they've bought.
I don't
so
know
how do they know
this
that?
got out.
Maybe
Okay.
he had like a school board credit card.
Yeah, no kidding.
Maybe she was already
I think
wearing all of
maybe
it.
it's just like, how much was it?
$175,000.
That's like $1,000 to you and I, Fred. Maybe
Wow.
maybe 175. So it's just, if you have the money, I'm sure he's got a shopper that can knock all those things off the list.
That he does have the money, Mark Reardon.
Yeah, the crowd didn't like that
people
very
aren't
much.
happy about that. No, they're not. Here's something interesting going around right now. The question: did Santa wrap your gifts when you were a kid? A poll found he almost always does now, but that didn't used to be the case. Back in the day, he was much more likely to just leave them under the tree and skip the wrapping paper.
I don't know what it is. Santa does not wrap the presents at our house.
He didn't at mine growing up
So
either.
we get presents, like we're going to wrap presents, but then the ones that come from Santa, he doesn't waste time,
What did
wrapping.
Santa do at your
My
house, Fred?
Santa wrapped all of his gifts.
Oh, interesting. 29% of seniors say that's how he operated when they were kids, not wrapping the gifts. Only 6% of people under 30 say the same, which is kind of interesting. On to the next one. We got some music for this one. Happy birthday to the very, very late Ludwig van Beethoven.
Yeah, very late is true.
Very late. A couple of fun facts about Beethoven. He was actually once arrested for vagrancy in Vienna after a constable mistook him for a beggar. Along with that, he proposed marriage 3 times but was turned down each time. One of his intended brides said he was ugly and half crazy, and another one said her dog was more affectionate with him than she was.
Poor Ludwig.
Yeah, so he had no wonder he was so bitter growing up, and of course, one of the greatest composers of all time. Also on this date in history, 251 years ago today in 1773, the Boston Tea Party went down when American colonists boarded a British ship and dumped more than 300 chests of tea overboard to protest tea taxes. Oof, a lot of tough ones today.
That's not an easy thing to say.
Yeah, no kidding. And then one final one here before we wrap up. 30 years ago today, in 1994, Dumb and Dumber was released.
Hey guys, we're going on a national bikini tour, and we're looking for 2 oil boys who can grease us up before each competition.
You are in luck. There's a town about 3 miles that way. I'm sure you'll find a couple guys there.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Hey, dog. Do you realize what you've done? Boy! You'll have to excuse my friend. He's a little slow. The town is back that way.
I don't think if it was like, think about it. If somebody else was cast in that movie, just like even one person was different, I don't know that we'd be talking about it 30 years later, right? It was just that magic chemistry between Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniel. That's great.
They made it work. Okay, we'll wrap up Ethan's news with today's random fact. Jurassic Park is 127 minutes long, but the dinosaurs are only on screen for a total of 15 minutes. And that is it for today in Ethan's news.
I believe that. That one doesn't shock me too much, but thank you for that little nugget here this afternoon. We got Cusumano coming up at 4:45. We're going to talk about keeping cell phones out of schools with a guest next named Susan Linn, who's an author. She's coming up.
Let's go.
Traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Delays on 270 southbound continue in spots from Olive down to about Tesson Ferry or 55. We've got northbound Manchester to 64 on the brakes, 70 eastbound, heavy into downtown now, 55 southbound. Some roadwork delays from Broadway to Bates, Bayless to Lindbergh, 64 eastbound, heavy Jefferson over the Poplar Street Bridge. Westbound side, Kings Highway to Hampton. You get to Lindbergh to 270, then through Chesterfield. 44 westbound, slow approaching 270, and eastbound heavy Jefferson to 55. This report is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Trent Erickson with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
But my lips are turning blue. Are they fast?
My darling, Jerry Kelly can install a new furnace tomorrow, no matter what day tomorrow is, even if we call late at night.
You are my hero.
Fast and they're good and they got it going on. JerryKelly.com.
We always have great conversations with our friend George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet. They support IT here in St. Louis, award-winning business IT support, managed IC services, and cybersecurity. And George comes on here and dazzles with all kinds of stories that might be in the news, whether it's a cyber security issue, a hack, a ransomware attack. One thing we always like to mention is no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. They do great work here in St. Louis and have for a long time right now, and they don't lock you into contracts. So if you want to check out ThrottleNet, if you are a business owner, don't put this at risk. They support everything IT. They get amazing customer service reviews. They lead the industry with their under 2-minute response time, which is one of the reasons they're so popular. Reliable business IT support to grow your business here in St. Louis. Go to throttlenet.com. If you throw a /971 on the back of that, you can even get a tour of the dark web. Have George or the team over for lunch. He'll bring lunch. He'll buy you lunch. Don't put your business at risk. Check out ThrottleNet today at throttlenet.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been hurt on the job, you don't need the biggest law firm. You need the best. Onder Law, voted 2023's best law firm in St. Louis. Is the insurance company playing games? Trying to deny the medical treatment you need? Refusing to pay your lost wages? Let Onder Law fight for the benefits you deserve. Injured on the job? Call Onder Law for free. 314 or 618-9-million. That's 314 or 618-9, all zeros.
Hi, this is Debbie Monterey, inviting you to donate blood at the Odyssey Holiday Heroes Blood Drive. Be someone's hero for the holidays. Give blood. Join us Tuesday, December 17th through Friday, December 20th at several YMCA locations near you. All presenting donors will receive a long-sleeve Red Cross t-shirt. Please call 1-800-RED-CROSS to schedule an appointment or visit redcrossblood.org. Use sponsor code Odyssey, AUDACY.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. While we celebrate the reversal of Roe v. Wade, there is still much work to be done to support life and pregnant women before they cross state lines. Together, we can provide the love, support, and options that women need to choose life for their children. Coalition Life celebrates more than 3,500 clients served and thousands of lives saved since we began this mission with you. Each one is a miracle. Over the years, day in and day out, our team has walked alongside women facing the fear and challenges of an unexpected pregnancy. Through the support of this community, we have given them hope and a path to choose life for the children they carry. Visit coalitionlife.com to give your vital support while reducing or completely eliminating your state taxes through Missouri's 70% tax credit. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com.
Lifestyles Unlimited, the education and mentoring group with a roadmap and support to help you real estate retire.
Having the consulting team, having other avenues within your whole system is what's made y'all successful. Everyone is there to guide you to be successful. So it's just up to you to get off the butt and do it.
Do it. Take action today. Get educated now at Lifestyles Unlimited. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for $297, a 60% savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
It's time to start thinking about your holiday parties right now. Mark Cox here for my friend Grill Master Tony. His schedule's starting to fill up. Make your parties easier and tastier with Grill Master Tony. You can choose from his brisket, pulled pork, or chicken. Choose from sides like roasted potatoes, bourbon barbecue baked beans, French bread from Pete's Italian Baking on the Hill. But get your orders in early. Get your orders in now. Just go online to grillmastertony.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Yes, and this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Odyssey.com is a universe of audio, and it's where you can download the app to stream 97.1 FM Talk. The Odyssey app. Download it today and stream anytime from anywhere. Where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Mark Reardon on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Well, I'm trying to work in the Christmas music.
Hang all the mistletoe, I'm gonna get
Donny Hathaway will do some classics here as well throughout the next week or so. Sue Thomas is off all week. She'll be back next Monday. We got Cusumano coming up here in a couple of minutes. How bad is the Patrick Mahomes injury? We'll find out here in just a few minutes. And is there any Nolan Arenado news to report as well? We also have the auditor of the state of Missouri, Scott Fitzpatrick, who is doing his own kind of spin on Doge, the 12 days of Doge. And we'll talk about the St. Louis Public Schools audit. So that's coming up here in the next hour, plus an audio cut of the day. I am very passionate about this, keeping cell phones out of schools. I don't understand why this has not become a national thing. I don't know why. I'd kind of like to hear something out of the White House on this particular topic. Now, maybe this is because I have a little girl and my other kids are in their 20s right now. They're long past the age of, making a decision on when to give them a cell phone or having them affected by social media. All that damage has been done. But it's a serious issue, and Susan Linn has written about this. She is the author of Who's Raising the Kids? Big Tech, Big Business, and the Lives of Children. She joins us this afternoon. Hi, Susan. How are you? Welcome to 97.1 FM Talk in St. Louis.
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, but I don't know why more school districts across the country aren't taking a stand and saying, nope, no schools are going to have cell phones and stuff like that. It seems like this is still a little bit slow on the uptick.
I think as somebody who's been an activist in this arena for a long time, I think actually it's amazing that as many schools that recently have started creating policies. I think that's just, amazing that that's happening. There's such a pushback from tech companies about these phones and marketing them as educational and everybody needs them. And, they absolutely should not be in schools.
Yeah, I don't think
I
that's
agree
good
with you.
Yeah, it's good to hear that you're a little bit more optimistic. So you actually feel, if I heard you correctly there, that this momentum is actually resulting in some good decisions and this is catching on a bit?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you look, there have been just a lot of stories in the media recently about schools, individual schools, school districts that are changing their policy on cell phones and banning them. I mean, some schools are just doing it in classrooms, but other schools, I think, are taking a better and more pro-child approach, actually, by saying that kids basically can't use phones in schools at all.
I want to get to the phone issue here in a second specifically, but I do find it interesting. Your background is and this goes back a couple of decades plus, you formed something called Campaign for a Commercial-Free Childhood. And one of the things that you cite in your piece that I read was some success with Disney on the topic of what they used to put out. I remember these. I probably even bought some of these Baby Einstein videos, right?
Yes.
So what happened?
That's right.
What happened with that? Did you sue them because they were falsely marketing it?
We weren't parties to the suit, but we worked with the lawyers who it was basically the idea for the suit came from us, and they threatened a lawsuit. What happened is that Disney came back and offered refunds, and that made the front page of the New York Times and papers all over. I guess it was newspapers then, all over the world, and it really hurt Baby Einstein's business. I mean, they're not educational. There's no evidence that screens are educational for babies, and there's mounting evidence, in fact, that they're potentially harmful because what they're finding are brain changes in areas of the brain that that affect decision making and self-regulation, executive function. I mean, these are attributes that are essential for schools. I mean, the whole addiction to screens is starting with infants. Yeah. We're seeing it. I mean, it's more dramatic with adolescents because, there are, a lot of adolescent health issues associated with social media, including, depression, suicide. And what the phones do is provide access to screens all the time, really 24 hours a day. And the kids, they need some relief, and that's something that schools can easily do.
One of my favorite things that happened over the summer, my daughter went to this camp down in the southern part of Missouri near Rolla called Cup Creek Science Camp. There's a lot of kids from this area that go, and there was no even, you couldn't even have she's got an Apple Watch just to communicate, but there was no even ability to communicate with that, which I was a big fan of, by the way. But I bring it up because, let's face it, and I'm a fan of Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation. I think people need to read that. I think you would agree. But there's a lot of parents that are unwilling to take some of these steps, aren't there? Isn't that part of the problem?
Yes.
Or maybe is the problem.
And it is a problem. Well, the real problem is the way that the tech industry markets their devices to kids. And also falsely to parents, again, claiming, for instance, that they're educational for babies when they're not. It's hard, as you know, it's hard to be a parent today. So I think that that one of the problems that parents have, I mean, the argument that they bring up is, what if there's, a terrible thing happens in school, and how is my child going to get in touch, and that kind of thing. Right. But if you really think about it, the damage that the phones do, they're so distracting. I mean, we're all addicted to our phones.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're phenomenally, distracting. I mean, there's even research that's suggesting that just having a phone on a table during a meal lowers the quality of the conversation during that meal.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it. I think a lot of us, I've tried to maybe take some conscious steps in leaving the phone in the car when you're having dinner with friends or things along those lines. But I'll admit, it's not easy to do, especially with someone like me. I'm connected to the news. I want to know what's happening. I'm checking the Twitter all the time. So it's very tough. But adults making these decisions and being addicted is very, very different than some of the things that are happening to these adolescent brains.
Yes. I mean, that's absolutely true. And there's research showing, for instance, that around the world, students distracted by phones in schools actually score significantly lower on what's called the PISA math assessment. And also, there are lots of other studies also that reflect those same findings. And there's one from the London School of Economics showing that the rise in test scores after after students are not allowed phones in schools, that the rise in test scores was specifically due to the improved performance by students who were identified as low achievers.
So what kind, do you have any hopes in particular for this administration? Look, I'm a big fan of government staying out of things, right? But in a situation like this, when you don't have cooperation from tech, that's when people start talking about government involvement, right?
Right. Yes. And I mean, one of the things is that most of the power in running schools comes from states and cities and communities, districts, right? I mean, so I think a national ban would be really hard to do. But what's happening is that districts, schools, even states are starting to take steps in that direction.
I'm
am.
encouraged
I mean,
by that. I'm
as
glad.
I said, I've been doing this work for a long time.
Right.
I am optimistic about this.
Well, I love to hear the optimism because it's
I know.
something that I'm
Yeah.
more dialed into. Look, I would admit that I probably wouldn't be as concerned about this. I wouldn't be as dialed into this if I didn't have a little screen user in my house right now. Because things were different when my kids were that age. Well, the iPhone was just coming out. We had cell phones, but the iPhone and all that was just coming out. So now this is so prevalent, and I get concerned. I know I've talked to the principal at her school about this. I can see how teachers are trying to do things, and sometimes they're pulling their hair out. So look, I think this is an important issue, and I hope that we hear some national discourse on this. But Susan, thanks so much for joining me here on 97.1 FM Talk. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, take care. That's Susan Linn, who has written about that topic as well. Look, I'd put Jonathan Haidt's book on your Christmas list to someone that is close to you, because the anxious generation is an important message.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, we've got delays on 270 southbound from Olive down to Tesson Ferry. Not a solid delay, some pockets anyway. Northbound side around 64. 70 eastbound, heavy getting into downtown. 55 southbound Broadway to Bates is heavy. Then Bayless to Lindbergh. You've got 64 eastbound, heavy from Jefferson over the Poplar Street Bridge. Westbound side from Kings Highway to Hampton, slow. Then Lindbergh to 270 and through Chesterfield. 44 westbound, slow approaching 270. Eastbound, heavy Jefferson to 55. This report is sponsored by GHR Contracting LLC from the Cordell and Cordell Domestic Litigation Firm Traffic Cam. I'm Trent Erickson with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Not many window companies do egress windows. Those are the ones used in basements or floors with no emergency exit. GHRcontracting.com. We offer same-day install and financing 0% for 18 months, and there's no hassle with price negotiation. Get an upfront quote on the phone. GHRcontracting.com.
New Perspective Senior Living. It is a beautiful, beautiful new option for you for assisted living, and they have a memory care facility, independent living. It's beautiful. They have awesome common spaces and amenities, and this is a brand new company here in the St. Louis area. It's located next to Persimmon Woods Golf Club, blocks from Progress West Hospital. Very modern apartments, spacious 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom with everything that you would come to expect. Large closets, in-apartment washers and dryers, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, and they have a great meal plan as well. So if you're interested, and they do have people living at New Perspective Senior Living right now, but they have apartments available. They also have a holiday special, so you should ask them about the holiday specials and do me a huge favor. Tell them you heard about it here on 97.1 FM Talk. Maybe the best way, the easiest way, just go to the website. N as in Nancy, P as in Paul, npseniorliving.com, or you can always call 636-229-1311. Join them for a free lunch or take part in one of the many activities. Take a tour. They'd love to give it to you at New Perspective Senior Living, npseniorliving.com. Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Jesse Jane Duff.
What a wonderful embrace that Penny was able to get by the president coming in, because they both defeated, guess who? Alvin Bragg.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
On St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
I noticed last week on the social media front, Scott Fitzpatrick, who is the auditor of the state of Missouri, was kind of doing something fun on the X, formerly Twitter, calling it his own 12 Days of Doge. And we're going to feature that in the next hour right after Fox News at 5. Lauren Trager from Channel 4 about this bill. Not bill, but this story. We talked about it on the roundtable the other day. Property owners getting big bills for repairs that they didn't agree to. It's under investigation. We'll have the very latest on that. Plus, an audio cut of the day. I am heading after the show to the Jack Buck Awards at the Missouri Athletic Club downtown. I believe that Mr. Cusumano is on his way there right now. So I look forward to seeing you. Frank, how are you this afternoon?
Good to be with you. Yeah, it's really a cool event. You know, you got 400 people on a Christmassy kind of Monday night, and it's the 55th annual. The stars are out. Coach Drink will get the Sports Personality of the Year. Brady Cook, the Amateur Athlete of the Year. Jeremy Macklin will get a Legends Award because he went into the Hall of Fame, the National College Football Hall of Fame. It's going to be a big night for Mizzou at the MAC tonight.
I love that. One person who will not be there, and I highlighted this earlier in the show, is Bill Greenblatt, who was a legendary photographer here in the St. Louis area. There's probably about, of the 400 people in that room, there's probably about 395 that knew Bill personally, Frank, I'd say, right? He passed away at the age of 70 years old.
Yeah, he had battled cancer, and he had done it courageously and downplayed it a lot. But I tell you, I've never been to Busch Stadium in my 32 years of like going down to the clubhouse and to the dugout area and
there.
not seeing.
Right.
Yeah. And he had such a rapport with the players. The thing about it, Mark, he's in the dugout, for 4 decades, like sitting right next to the players. He told me once that Colton Wong made a spectacular play at second base, and Colton comes into the dugout right afterwards. He's having a glass of water, and then he looks over at our friend, Mr. Greenblatt, and he says, "Did you get it?" He goes, "Yeah, I got it."
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he did get it. That's amazing. That's awesome. But you're right. I couldn't believe that he was at all those games, at every game. And then at all the charity functions, because he would take a lot of pictures if I'd be emceeing at an event. I'm sure you've done that, over the decades as well. So certainly a loss here in St. Louis. Let's talk a little football. How much do we know about Patrick Mahomes' ankle?
I don't think we know anything, but it would be probably a big mistake to have him play Saturday. I think Netflix is paying such an unbelievable sum of money. They want him for Christmas Day. I don't know if the Kansas City Chiefs are thinking about Netflix, but it makes no sense for a team that has that record to bring him back a little sooner than he should. I don't care if he's begging to play. You got to rest him.
I would agree. And then, for the Chiefs and maybe for a lot of these teams in the NFL, this is an amazing stretch coming up because you got games on, a Saturday, a Sunday, a Monday, and then a couple on Christmas Day. So the Chiefs, I think they play on Saturday, as you indicated, and then they have to turn around and play Christmas Day.
Yeah, I think it's 3 games in like 11 days. So they got to be smart here. They're going to have home field advantage in the postseason, so they should be smart.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts after this NFL weekend? Obviously, the Buffalo Bills look pretty good, and you had a devastating injury for the Lions right now, who look like the cream of the crop in the NFC, but now David Montgomery's out.
Yeah, and then 3 more members of their defense got injured. I don't care how good Jared Goff is and Jahmyr Gibbs and Jamison Williams and Laporta. Look, if you're missing like 4 or 5 starters on the defensive end, I don't know if you can win. I mean, I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. And in terms of the best player, what we're seeing out of Josh Allen is freaking crazy. I mean, he's thrown for 900 yards, basically, almost 900 yards the last 2 games.
Yeah, it really is impressive. And it looks like, look, here's what I'd say about the AFC. I'd love to say the Chiefs are going to go there again. I can certainly see an upset even if Kansas City has home field. The Bills are looking really, really good. But I would watch, and maybe I'm a little biased here, I would watch a little bit of a wild card scenario in the NFC, not only with the Green Bay Packers, but I still think the Rams are a dangerous team. I know that they've had a couple ups and downs, and it wasn't a great performance against San Francisco, but they won that game, and they could be dangerous in the first round if you're not careful. Just remember I said that. That's all.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue. I hope you're completely wrong about it because it's the Rams, but they're dangerous. They're getting hot. The receivers are healthy. It's a good point.
Anything new on Nolan Arenado baseball-wise or anything like that on this Monday?
You know, I keep an eye on the Red Sox, who may need a third baseman, and Arenado, who likes to pull the ball down the line, Fenway Park, 315 down the line. I would think that would be a landing spot that would be interesting for him.
Anything else, though, rumor-wise? I thought I had seen something that Houston was in the mix, and then when I went back online and Googled that, it didn't seem like it was a thing.
Well, there was talk because they may lose Bregman that they're going to have to go that route. So, yeah, I think they'd be in play. I tell you what scares me from the free agency weekend is Kyle Tucker ending up with the Cubs. He's really a good player, a Gold Glover, great arm, great power. And it seems like the Cubs are trying to win this year. So, yeah, the Cubs are probably better than the Cardinals right now, and we know the Brewers are better than the Cardinals. That's not good.
Hey, we're going to talk more about this on Friday, but look, that was a tough loss for Illinois. They go down to the number 1 ranked now Tennessee Vols, but there was a tough game, came down to the final shot. Mizzou wins in easy fashion against a team that was barely Division I, I think, and now you got the bragging rights game on Sunday.
Yeah, I was really rooting for Illinois. Simply, we could say that, hey, the 2 teams in the bragging rights game just knocked off the number 1 team in the country. Illinois played a great game. They got a lot. They are really skilled. But, boy, you just love the vibe of Mizzou, who's now won 10 in a row.
I love it, and that's going to be a fun game on Sunday. Frank, have a great week. I will see you tonight, and then we'll talk on Friday afternoon.
Sounds good.
Jack Buck Awards tonight at the MAC is going to be a great event. Coming up, though, after the top of the hour, I mentioned Scott Fitzpatrick, the auditor of Missouri. Well, I want to talk to him about the St. Louis Public Schools audit, which is really amazing and very revealing. I went through some of the credit card receipts earlier in the show. We're going to continue talking about that. And one of the questions I think that I know State Representative Steve Butts, who was on the roundtable on Friday, is were there crimes committed here? He's encouraging the St. Louis City prosecutor, Gabe Gore, circuit attorney, and also hopefully the feds to get involved here. Some of this is so brazen. And again, it's taxpayer money that is going to Southwest Airlines for all kinds of travel, to Japan for a conference, to I was highlighting one of the luxury resorts in the last hour, and I thought it was on the East Coast, and apparently no, it's in Nashville. A really, really nice place down in Nashville that they rang up a couple. Yeah, Gaylord National Resort. That was it. The 4-star resort. There was a $1,700 charge, a $350 charge, and a $1,400 charge. And I did have a listener tell me that was down in Nashville. Some of this is stunning. It really is. And it was all racked up in just a little less than a year. So we'll have some details on that and the rest of what Scott's doing, which is the 12 Days of Doge here in Missouri. And then another investigative story that is not too good for the city of St. Louis. Lauren Trager will be with us from Channel 4, did a story on property owners. We talked about this on the roundtable on Friday as well, and property owners getting bills for repairs that they did not agree to, and now that's all under investigation. Plus, I will have many, many things to pick from for Audio Cut of the Day. Before we wrap up this hour, let me just give a couple of words here about Greece, because I spoke with Mike Kinney this weekend. He actually texted me this morning from Define Destinations. Greece is going to be amazing. We have 1 cabin left. We have a great group of listeners. I have some personal friends that have jumped on this trip as well. We leave on the 27th of April, which is a Sunday, on Lufthansa from here in St. Louis to go to Germany and then to Athens. A couple of days in Athens, and then we start hitting the islands on this cruise ship. The cruise ship only holds 197 10 people total. We're going to focus on fun, on leisure, on food. Mike is a great guide, so he's going to take us through those 10 days. We get back on May 7th. It will be really, really special. Get signed up. We got one more cabin. He says he may be able to add cabins, but not to count on it at this point. One spot available for 2 more folks. Get signed up. DefinedDestinations.com or go to the top of my Twitter site, at Mark Reardon, KFTK. I've pinned the details on the beautiful trip there.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, I don't know if I have Trent there. Trent, are you there? We do not have him. Checking. Well, we'll see if we can get it next time.
Brought to you by Warner Brothers.
Here, and you don't want to miss a moment of the action. With the new 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever. The College Football Playoff presented by Allstate begins with 4 first-round games, December 20th and 21st on ESPN, ABC, TNT, and Max.
Hey, it's Brady Cook, quarterback at Mizzou. I'm all for Macadoodle's Garden Prairie. We've got a world-class selection of fine wine, beer, and spirits. We've got a drive-thru, and we've got the friendliest customer service in town. Make sure you stop into Macadoodle's before every big game to stock up on bourbon, beer, and seltzer. While you're there, pick up a bottle or two from Macadoodle's world-class wine cellar. Macadoodle's is Missouri. Macadoodle's is fun. Come visit us on Bryan Road, just north of the Page Extension, St. Charles County.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Steel holiday savings are here. Make room under the tree for gifts at the top of their wish list. Power up the holidays with great deals on long-lasting tools. Find the perfect gift at your local Steel dealer or shop the Steel Holiday Gift Guide at SteelUSA.com.
The T.R. Hughes Homes for the Holidays display and inventory sale is going on now through the rest of the year. Hi, I'm Jason Hughes with T.R. Hughes Homes, and we have several quick move homes ready for immediate move-in. Save up to $50,000 on a brand new move-in ready home in one of our 4 beautiful communities. Come see why T.R. Hughes is St. Charles and now Warren County's premier home builder. Move-in ready, up to $50,000 in savings, just in time for the holidays. Visit trhughes.com for details. That's trhughes.com.
In Missouri, farming isn't just a profession, it's a purpose. You can feel it in our 27 million acres of farmland. You can see it in the nearly 41,000 Missourians who work in agriculture. You can hear it at our farmers markets. You can count it in the $93.7 billion it brings our state. And you can taste it at your family's dinner table. A lot of farmers in our state rely on Bayer's tools and inventions because Bayer has a purpose too, to help farmers thrive. Learn more at go.bayer.com/purpose, paid for by Bayer.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Wishing you a very Merry Christmas.
Hey guys, Ethan Hannaford, producer for The Annie Fry Show and The Mark Reardon Show here. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas season and happy holidays to you all. Thank you so much for listening on 97.1 FM Talk.
I love what State Auditor of Missouri, Scott Fitzpatrick, is doing. His 12 Days of Doge, uncovering some fraud and abuse in Missouri. Details coming up.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law injury lawyers. GetJim.com studio.
That's getjim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Dead. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. It happened after police in Madison, Wisconsin say a student opened fire at a school. Several others were wounded.
This is a small private Christian school, K through 12, around 400 students. There's also a preschool that is on campus. And a little before 11 a.m. this morning, police say a student with a handgun opened fire, killing one teacher and another student and injuring 6 other students before they were found dead when officers arrived.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Madison, a law enforcement official telling the Associated Press the shooter was a 17-year-old female. A motive for the shooting is not immediately known. White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby says North Korean troops are actively helping Russia in its fight against Ukraine.
It's not surprising. And of course, it's also not surprising that now North Korean soldiers are suffering losses on the battlefield.
And Kirby announced new sanctions on 9 North Korean individuals and 7 entities, including banks and shipping companies, over its support for Russia. After months of deadlock, Israel and Hamas appear to be moving closer toward a ceasefire. Top officials from the U.S., Qatar, and Egypt have resumed their mediation efforts in recent weeks and reported greater willingness by both sides to wrap up a deal. President-elect Trump holding a wide-ranging news conference this morning. He was asked about the drones that have been spotted over several states.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went.
The White House's John Kirby said again today the drone sightings do not include any national security or safety risk. Wall Street major indexes ended the day mixed. The Dow lost 110, the NASDAQ plus 247, hitting another record. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details. William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Some gusty winds from the west-northwest going through our Monday afternoon with that clearing process continuing. Temperatures are going down. 48 by the time the sun goes down late this afternoon. Tonight, clear and cold, 34. Tuesday, sunny and 51. More rain, a cold rain, but all rain Tuesday night. Wednesday, some early showers, then clearing skies Wednesday afternoon at 46. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Yeah, the sun is down, Dave, but, you know, we are approaching that date here in a few days where the days start to get longer. Very, very slowly, but they will start to get longer. One of the things that will happen after the first of the year is Susan L. Ward, who's a great sponsor here of this show and 97.1 FM Talk, her office will be swamped on the 2nd, the 3rd of January, because, and Susan's told us this before, a lot of people right now are trying to keep things together for the holidays with families, and they know that the marriage is not going to survive, and then they're going to take action. Susan's advice to you would be don't wait until the day after New Year's. Call now. Make sure you're not making mistakes. There's all kinds of things that they can guide you through here in St. Louis to prevent mistakes and to make things go, I think, a lot better for you. You want experience in this area of the law. I made the mistake decades ago of hiring someone who is a newbie. That's not going to happen if you hire the team at the law offices of Susan L. Ward, LLC. They've been doing this for a long time, a ton of experience, and it's not only the end of a marriage, as I always say, it's post-divorce issues, modifications, the end of child support, anything along those lines. They can help you here in St. Louis. Susan L. Ward, STLFamilyLaw.com. The focus on family law and the emphasis on you.
Surprise! Surprise! You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon from my friends at ThrottleNet, and you've probably heard George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet on the show. He's a technology whiz, and George and his team can educate you and your business on the dangers lurking with technology. Here's a unique opportunity along those lines. Does your company have a lunch and learn or guest speakers? For a limited time, ThrottleNet is providing free lunch and learns to provide cybersecurity awareness training. One click can cause a ton of damage to your business. ThrottleNet is determined to make sure that doesn't happen. And if it does, they're the cybersecurity experts who can help. ThrottleNet is known for high customer satisfaction, averaging 99% happiness with over 35,000 surveys. They have an industry-leading response time of less than 2 minutes. And no clients of ThrottleNet have ever paid ransom as a result of a cyber attack. Contact ThrottleNet at throttlenet.com/971 and we can schedule your free company lunch. Don't miss out. Find out more today about ThrottleNet at throttlenet.com/971.
A lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, this is my last hope. The next step is getting them in the right arch supports. Our goal is to have that long-term change for them, to see someone that is in pain. I change things for them. See how we can help you with a free fitting at the Good Feet store.
The Mark Cox Morning Show has free tickets to see Toto. When we tell you to call, hold the line and be caller number 12. You'll win tickets to see Toto August 5th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. It's all on the Mark Cox Morning Show this week.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
Jingle bell, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
We have one more hour to go before I take off and head over to the Jack Buck Awards tonight at the MAC. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of important people, far more important than me in that room, and Cusumano kind of highlighted some of that. I can't wait to see all the Mizzou folks. Brady Cook and Coach Drink. Jeremy Macklin's going to be there. It's going to be a lot of my friend Tommy Ackerman from KMOX will MC as he always does. And I think you can listen to that. I should know this since I work for the company. I think you can listen to the whole broadcast over on KMOX on the AM dial. I noticed last week that the state auditor of Missouri, Scott Fitzpatrick, was doing something that was kind of fun. And the post on the X, formerly Twitter, that caught my attention said, you know, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and Doge have announced the rollout to fight waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. Auditor Fitzpatrick is already working to increase government efficiency and transparency at the state and local level. So he kicked off something called the 12 Days of Doge, which I thought was a nice little gimmick here to highlight some of the nonsense that goes on in Missouri. And the auditor of Missouri, Scott Fitzpatrick, is with us tonight on 97.1 FM Talk. How are you, Scott? Welcome back to the show. I like what you're doing here.
Thanks. I'm living the dream, man. Good to be with you.
Well, you know, when it comes to government waste, I've tracked this for a long time, certainly at the federal level, and we always would have to admit that a lot of this goes on in state government as well. Before we get to some of the things related to the 12 Days of Doge, I just want to talk about the St. Louis Public School audit. And just to be clear, that is not something that your office did. I think you might be in an audit right now, but the internal audit is what revealed all the nonsense and the shenanigans in St. Louis Public Schools, correct?
There was an internal audit that the board requested that really primarily looked at the activity of the former superintendent,
right,
and her role during her time there as they were determining the future of her personnel situation. And so that was the primary purpose, at least from my perspective of that report. We are also in an audit that began earlier this year, a few months ago, that is going to be more kind of broad in scope, looking at the overall performance of the district. So the things that were included in the report that came out from the district's internal audit type folks will is stuff that we're looking at as well, but we're also going well beyond that.
Now, did you look like I highlighted just on the credit card receipts alone a couple of hours ago, and I'm probably going to get into that a little bit later this hour as well. Some of it is really quite staggering, especially since it's on the taxpayer dime. More than dimes. The taxpayer 100,000 millions. Right. That's what it is.
Yeah, there were definitely some questionable credit card charges that took place under the former superintendent, and the report, I think, does a good job highlighting those things. And it's very kind of high level, and so they noted that they weren't able to look at a lot of the receipts, and there were things that were questionable that they weren't able to determine whether or not they were actually inappropriate or not. But just on their face, they did look to be very questionable. And so, like I said, our audit will look at all of that in addition to a lot of other performance measures that we'll be taking a look at.
Is there a process in, I guess in association with an audit? My main question would be, and I don't know that you would be the person to answer this, on the internal audit, to me and other people, it seems like maybe some crimes were committed. But if you go through your audit and if you detect or suspect that there are crimes committed, is there a process to recommend those things to a federal prosecutor or anything like that?
Yeah, we work with law enforcement and prosecutors' offices, both at the local and the federal level, in various circumstances, depending on which one is the appropriate authority. And yeah, if we identify, say, theft of federal funds or something, we would certainly be in touch with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we regularly liaise with the U.S. Attorney's Office and local law enforcement on audits that involve fraud. So certainly we would do that if it was appropriate.
Well, let's see what happens with that. Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick is with us. All right, so tell me about the 12 days of Doge and what you're doing here. We can get into some specifics as well.
Sure. Well, we did this because we want to make people aware of the work that we're doing. There's a lot of work that we spent a lot of time in the St. Louis area over the last 2 years working on trying to get this circuit attorney's report out. We've got the Francis House School District report that people have been waiting on for a long time that's going to be coming out this week. There's been a lot of things going on. The jail investigation that we were involved in, and we actually just got a request today regarding the city's building department and things you've probably seen in the news recently related to the COVID funds. So we'll be, and then there's been a petition submitted with what appears to be potentially enough signatures to trigger another citywide audit coming up here very shortly. So we've spent a lot of time in St. Louis, but we also want to highlight the things that we've done outside of the city because there's a lot of it. And so the 12 days of Doge or Dogemas or however you want to call it, we really are focusing on the audits that we've put out over the last year that highlight missing money, fraud, mismanagement that's taken place both at the state level and the local level. And we're on day 4 today. And so we have four days of that out. We looked at the City of Holland, the Ducklin County Sewer District, the Lowe's Municipal Court, and then the MVE, which is the Missouri Vocational Enterprise Program within the Department of Corrections here at the state level.
Yeah, let's go over some of those, some specifics. We don't want to ruin the next 8 days, but on the first day, this was about, as you indicated, the City of Holland, Missouri, and there was an acting mayor there, Jessica Roach. What happened with her, and how does that story kind of unfold?
So she was kind of functioning as the city administrator or the city clerk, if you will, and the board of aldermen and the mayor all ended up resigning. And so you had a city that had no elected government in place. And this lady, Jessica Roach, just assumed the mantle of acting mayor and was really just running the city by herself. And in doing so, she made the decision to collect money that belonged to the city, utility deposits and things of that nature that were supposed to go into the city's bank account. And instead of putting them in the city's bank account, she just started putting them in her own bank account. And so she did that, got away with about $67,000. There was city money put in her personal bank account, and we audited that. There's been charges filed against her, and we'll be involved in the prosecution of her as it progresses.
So, Scott, was that a situation where people kind of knew and you were noodling around this stuff just to prove it, or did that just kind of come up in the process of the audit?
Well, what happened was after there was a new government elected, there was a period of time where there was no elected government, and then a new mayor and a new board of aldermen were elected, and they requested the audit. So this was before the legislation this year that passed that gave us the ability to go in and conduct our own audit. If we suspected potential fraud before that legislation passed, we had to be invited in by the city themselves or through a petition. And so this was an example of one where the city, after there was a new election, that we were invited to come
that
take a
makes
look.
sense. All right, on day number 2 of the 12 Days of Doge, you focus on Dunklin County. And here you have a married couple that's, ripping off the taxpayers, right?
We do, and it was a similar deal where basically they were, you see this a lot in these smaller political subdivisions that don't have a lot of oversight, where there's one or two people that are running the city or a sewer district or an ambulance district with little to no board oversight, or in this case, it's a married couple that, is overseeing each other essentially. And that creates an environment where money can easily be stolen. So in this one, there was more than $160,000 in funds that were missing. And the audit identified about $62,000 of that was definitely, misappropriated, missing money. And then another almost $100,000 that was potentially, missing, or was definitely missing, but it was, potentially misappropriated as well. And the district is in receivership as a result of that, and both of them are now facing criminal prosecution as well.
Unbelievable. All right, day 3, you went to Deloge, Missouri, which is down near Farmington. This one wasn't as big of I think not as much money involved here, but, this case kind of, and you can describe what happened here, Scott, kind of makes you wonder how many of these little nickel and dime things happen too.
Yeah, this is a smaller one. It's about $4,500 of money where essentially the court clerk or the court administrator, a gal named Heather Steinmetz, was basically siphoning off fine money that was being paid in and falsifying records to try to cover up her tracks on that. And so it was one that, like I said, it wasn't a lot of money, but it shows that there are, even in small cases, there are people that are pretty creative in trying to figure out ways to cover their tracks and steal small amounts of money that they think won't be detected. But in this case, even though it was not a lot, we went in at the request of the city there, and we looked and identified this and caught it. So, we think all dollars, whether it's a small amount or a large amount, are important, and we go out and we do these audits in non-fraud cases too. So when we have a fraud audit where there's thousands of dollars missing, we try to prioritize those.
So then you had, I don't have this one in front of me. What was day 4 of the 12 Days of Doge?
So day 4 is MVE, and that stands for Missouri Vocational Enterprise, and that's a program within the Department of Corrections that is essentially a job training program, or that's what it's supposed to be, where the Department of Corrections runs several manufacturing type businesses that the state government is required to purchase from. So like when I buy office furniture for the state auditor's office, we're required by law to go to MVE to purchase our furniture, for instance. They make, apparel, T-shirts and polos, things like that have state logos, things like that. So we looked at this program because really the stated purpose of it is to prepare these people who are in the correction system that are in prison, prepare them for reentry, right? And prepare them for going back into life, hopefully let them depart prison with a useful skill that they can put to work in the workforce to become a productive member of society. So we're really looking at the efficiency of the program and is it doing the things that it's intended to do. And what we found was they were essentially prioritizing long-term offenders in this program. So people that had a long time left on their sentence, and the people that were going to be going out into everyday life and being released from prison weren't having the opportunity to participate in this program and get the experience that could potentially help them be placed in a job when they got out of prison. So that was one of the major findings in that one. They were also prioritizing industries that were declining in job opportunities. So they aren't keeping up with kind of the economy and where the trades are heading. Their pricing for goods were sometimes way, way, way high, and sometimes it was way, way, way low. So state government was being forced to purchase overly priced furniture or things like that. So it was a long report. There were a lot of findings in it. But it just it's a program within state government that we focused on and tried to show them how they could improve the efficiency of the program and achieve the statutory mission that was put in place by the legislature when they passed the law that created the program.
I always share this story from when I was in Columbia, Missouri in the early 1990s. There was a big case that it certainly made statewide news, but it was more popular there. There was a woman who had basically stolen, it was around $750,000. She worked at Jesse Hall for the University of Missouri administration. It was actually someone who was married to a radio person in Columbia. So this was a story that got a lot of traction. And I guess I bring that up because do you have any perspective on whether for your office, for someone like you that's doing audits like this, is it easier or harder to conduct an audit when you have all this electronic information versus what they used to do decades ago with more hard copies, or is it just as difficult? Is there a difference between the way audits used to be done and the way they're done right now, Scott?
Well, I mean, with the, like when you're talking like 40 years ago, we had a 40-year employee today that we celebrated the retirement of, and we got to listen to some of his battle stories from audits. I mean, he's been in the office longer than I've been alive, so we got to hear how things were back when they were literally doing everything on paper. And yeah, it's absolutely, technology has made the work much more efficient. You can transmit documents. Things that would used to be reams of paper, you can transmit in an Excel file over email, things of that nature that just make it a lot easier. And also just the electronic nature of a lot of these transactions makes it harder to, we're in a much less cash-based economy.
Well, you
and
see what the charges are. You can't lie what that's what kind of jumps from the credit card statements at, SLPS and what they're revealing right now, because you basically know what they spent the money on. It's not too hard when you're looking at Popeyes and Panera and Bread Company and, all these other things. So that's interesting. Listen, thank you so much for coming on here and keep on all these federal and local entities for sure. I appreciate it, Scott.
Will do, man. Thanks for talking.
Take care. That is the auditor of the state of Missouri. I love that. The 12 Days of Doge. You can follow him on the X, formerly Twitter, and find out a little bit more about that. And you mentioned this story here in St. Louis with the property owners getting these big bills, and that's something we're going to follow up on with Lauren Trager, who she gets the title of the official investigative reporter for the Mark Reardon Show. Lauren's coming up here in just a couple of minutes. I also have an audio cut of the day. One of the things that I wanted to kind of focus in on here, though, before we wrapped this hour, let me get to this here because I might have this person on. Chris Arnott is the name. McDonald's became quite the reference in the presidential campaign from a couple of different perspectives, because obviously Kamala claimed that she had worked at McDonald's, and we never saw any proof of that. Trump actually went to McDonald's to troll her. That worked brilliantly. We had a situation where the shooter involved in the United Healthcare assassination was at McDonald's. So I'm rolling through some stuff this morning, show prep wise, and I look at the Free Press quite a bit. Barry Weiss and her group, they do a great job. And this Chris Arnott had a column on here that said, the year of McDonald's. In 2024, we watched American life unfold beneath golden arches, from Trump's drive-through stunt to Luigi Mangioni's final hash brown. So I went down the rabbit hole, and I started reading this, and I thought that there were some interesting observations, if you will. And Chris wrote, McDonald's is central to American life. This is all kind of funny to me, too, because while I've certainly gone to McDonald's over the past decades, I don't go there very often. And about 3 months ago, my wife was going through to get my daughter some McNuggets. And I said, you know what? Give me a quarter pounder with cheese. I think I said double quarter pounder with cheese. I had not had a quarter pounder with cheese or anything from McDonald's along those lines in a long time, and it was damn good. So maybe that's another reason I'm talking about this. But I think it's a he. I'm not sure if I might be misgendering Chris here, who wrote this article. Let's just say he for the sake of argument. He wrote, the last few months have provided two massive news stories that have emphasized how McDonald's is central to American life, both physically and culturally. At the end of October, there was the viral and controversial Trump campaign stop where he worked for 30 minutes at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. Then, last week, if you will, there was the news that Luigi Mangioni, the assassin of he says the alleged assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, was caught in McDonald's. Also, coincidentally, in Pennsylvania, because he was spotted by a group of morning regulars and employees. So Chris wrote, the reaction to both stories in certain parts of the media has proved that a lot of commentators don't understand what McDonald's means to ordinary Americans, which basically means that they don't understand ordinary Americans, period. And this is where this piece kind of grabbed me, and I thought it was kind of interesting. And we're going to have Selena Zito on tomorrow, who's outstanding on a lot of these culture issues, and she has written about them over the years. She wrote The Great Revolt in the aftermath of the 2016 election. She, of course, by the way, was on stage when Trump was attempted to be killed by Thomas Crooks. But I think she'll have some interesting reactions to this, because what Chris says is, in basically, he says, let's start with Mangioni. When Mangioni was arrested, I saw two questions raised. The first was, why would someone, quote, so careful, unquote, as Mangioni go into McDonald's? It's a good question. I think that we asked that, right? The second was, how in the world was he noticed, given that it is a soulless franchise where you should be able to easily blend in, since each is in the same bland and heavily trafficked space? So Chris says I can answer both questions. I've spent over a decade sitting in McDonald's all over the United States. I believe I've visited over 500 franchises. Roughly half of the conversations, because this guy wrote a book called Dignity, which took place in McDonald's, because half of the conversations from that book in 2019 happened at a McDonald's. He says the working title was Everything You Want to Know About America Can Be Learned in a McDonald's, because I sincerely believe this. Nowadays, he wrote, I keep a Substack about walking around the world, and in all my pieces about the U.S., we have pictures and stories from McDonald's. As a walker, I use them for the same reason everyone else does. They are welcoming, social, inexpensive, and have good Wi-Fi, good food, great coffee, and clean bathrooms. They're also a great way to learn about a place from the bottom up. So Chris says, over the years, it's interesting. I've come to understand that the role McDonald's plays in the day of everyday Americans, especially those toward the bottom and those suffering from mental illness. That's why I could have scripted the chain of events that led to Mangione's capture, down to the appearance of the regulars who first noticed him, like the white-haired man with a chain around his neck who seemed friendly but not entirely at ease speaking into a CNN mic. That was one of the witnesses from last week. So, again, I'm reading this, and a lot of times I read these things, I'm like, okay, whatever. But there was something that was very intriguing, and I think that Chris is certainly onto something, and I certainly wouldn't question that because Chris has gone to so many McDonald's and has been studying these people. So he wrote, I'm going to go out on a limb here, despite it being too early to do so, and say that the theory I find most convincing is that Mangione could be suffering from paranoid schizophrenia. So just hear him out here. I've met a lot of people like this in McDonald's because the franchise is often one of, if not the only place, in the real world where they can go, grab a cup out of the garbage can, sit at their corner table, and fit in, at least for an hour or two, without encountering too many dangers. It becomes, for many deeply troubled people, their only lifeline to normal society. And then he said, it's a role McDonald's, to its credit, has accepted, or some of its staff have, at least. I've witnessed many occasions when employees and morning regulars have gone out of their way to help those who are suffering. I've seen people offer free food and calls for assistance. I once heard a female customer call her husband, tell him to come to the parking lot and repair a broken-down car free of charge, which is why the fact that Mangione was noticed isn't surprising at all. Each McDonald's is a community. And he wrote, I'm writing this from McDonald's in my hometown in upstate New York, where I do most of my writing when I'm at home, and I, quote, know, unquote, almost all of the 24 or so oddballs who come in, like me, sit in a corner and either stare at the wall, rant into a cup, or work on their best beat-up laptop. I know the morning regulars, the evolving group of 5 or so guys who are at the door when it opens at 5:30, as well as the afternoon regulars. All the employees also know these oddballs, and should a new one come in, sit in a corner, and start acting a bit off, they'll notice. That almost always leads them to offering help, or in this rare case of Luigi Mangione, calling the police. And Chris went on to say, look, the larger question here is how is it that McDonald's, a business founded and designed to make eating as quick as transactional as possible, has become America's default community center? The answer is, Chris writes, it's happened because people are fundamentally wired to make meaning, and because people having a community you feel like you belong to is foundational, and I think this is true, to who we are. And if you provide people with a landscape of, boring franchises, they will form communities and make meaning in a boring franchise. But to the educated elites, those of you listening right now, what I call the front row, me too, this kind of community is seen as embarrassing and a bit backward, which brings us back to the first news story that proves that McDonald's is central to American life, Trump's photo op. And this is interesting, too. Here's a great illustration of what many people in the front row still miss about his appeal. Trump's superpower has long been signaling to working stiffs that he's just like you, right? Despite being on the surface nothing like them. His love of McDonald's, which I believe is as genuine a feeling as any politician can ever have, is one of those signals. In fact, it may be his most effective because it goads his critics into signaling that they are not just like you. And this goes on, and it's a really, really interesting column, and I think it makes some, really astute and accurate observations about politics, all surrounding a franchise called McDonald's. I'm going to see if I can get Chris on the air to talk about this because I did think it was very interesting. You get good content like this on the FP, the Free Press, thefp.com. Check it out. Lauren Trager from Channel 4 is coming up.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
You've got 270 southbound slowdowns that take you spots from Olive down to Graboid, northbound side, passing 64 on 170 southbound. You've got heavy as you make your way from Forest Park Parkway down to 64, northbound side from 64 out to Del Mar. 70 eastbound, heavy into downtown. 55, roadwork delay southbound, Broadway to Bates to get a Bayless down to Lindbergh. 64 eastbound is kind of tight over the Jefferson over the Poplar Street Bridge. Westbound side, Kings Highway to Hampton. You've got a slow down from Lindbergh to 270, then through Chesterfield and 364 to 70. 40 westbound, slow approaching 270, and eastbound, heavy Jefferson at 55. This traffic is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Trent Erickson with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broken, it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because they're open till 8, jerrykelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on, Jerry Kelly.
Yeah, I did mention earlier that the Jack Buck Awards are going to be broadcast live, and Ethan confirmed that for me. They're on KMOX tonight, so you can hear Tom Ackerman and the gang, and Coach Drink will be there. I want to talk a little bit about the Missouri Athletic Club. The mission of the club is to create great experiences in all aspects of club life, and this is really one of the more special occasions every year tonight at the downtown clubhouse. Don't forget, though, that there's a lot of great things going on at the Missouri Athletic Club, whether it's the West location where I hang out and attempt to play racquetball. They got the holiday camps for the kids coming up here. We have a charitable arm, too, which is really important. One of the reasons I got involved in the MAC is because they try to do so much for, charities here in St. Louis in the downtown area, which needs help, and government can't solve all of it. So if you're a member, if you're going to be at the event tonight, come up and say hi. You can always find out more at mac-stl.org for the Missouri Athletic Club, the Jack Buck Awards tonight.
Make holiday magic this year with something beautiful and timeless from Diamonds Direct. A stunning diamond pendant, a pair of classic diamond stud earrings, something new and eye-catching from a world-class designer. Or maybe you're looking for that perfect gemstone piece or a fabulous timepiece. At Diamonds Direct, we have hundreds of styles that are ready to be wrapped and put under the tree. No need to wait for shipping. Come and let our experts help you pick out that headliner gift. Or for some fabulous ideas before you head to the store, see the online seasonal gift guide now at DiamondsDirect.com. You can even chat now with a virtual assistant for the ultimate convenience. Whether you connect online or in person, you're guaranteed to get the extraordinary value, ironclad warranties, and white glove service Diamonds Direct is known for. And to help make your purchase even more affordable, we've got special financing so you can spread out your payments. Get directions, details, special showroom hours, and our holiday gift guide now at DiamondsDirect.com. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
5:33, this portion of the show sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
This is Kim St. from the Mark Cox Morning Show. Let's celebrate the fact that in just a few weeks, we'll have a president in the White House who will actually say Merry Christmas instead of just Happy Holidays. So Merry Christmas and a happy new 4 years.
Snow on the ground, love in the air, sleigh bells are ringing. This is what it's all about.
Well, we got a couple things on the schedule for tomorrow already. Just another reminder that Sue Thomas is off all week. She will be back with me on Monday. We'll be here on Monday and Tuesday somewhat together. Fred's got all of next week off. Basically, I think everyone has kind of segued into holiday mode, and we'll all be back together here on the 3rd of January after the 1st of the year. Or maybe that would be the 2nd of January. I think I'm working the 2nd of January. I don't know. It's too early to figure that out. Tomorrow on the show, I mentioned Selena Zito. She is going to join us probably one last time for the year. I'm trying to get the great political experts that we have. Jennings, Josh Kraushaar was on earlier today. One more run here before we wrap up the year. The last Reardon Roundtable will be this Friday for 2024. So Selena tomorrow at 3:25. John Ziegler, my friend from California, on at 5:07. He keeps the media in check quite a bit. So we'll talk with Zig in the 5 o'clock hour. Talking about keeping people in check. We talked about this on the Reardon Roundtable, and Lauren Trager from Channel 4, chief investigative reporter, also the official investigative reporter for the Mark Reardon Show. That's a great title. Comes with no compensation. Is with us tonight. Hi, Lauren. Welcome back. How are you?
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good, but we talked about this on the roundtable. There's a lot of things that are questionable going on in St. Louis, certainly with the St. Louis Public Schools audit, but this is something a little different with property owners. So what did you discover here and what's going on?
Yeah, it is a little bit different. I think something that the public isn't quite super aware of. Sorry, of course, my other phone's ringing.
That's okay.
It's an ARPA program, essentially, where the city has decided that they want to go onto private property and fix up homes or buildings that are vacant or condemned, fallen into some form of disrepair, and they are using these federal pandemic funds to do that. We did discover, though, that there are some pretty large, significant repair bills that are coming in. And then the city is turning around and putting liens on the properties and essentially handing bills to the property owners to say you have to pay this back. And it's already starting to accrue interest and penalties, things like that. We spoke with a number of property owners, though, who say, A, I wasn't informed because I don't live there. It's a vacant property, and I wasn't properly informed that this was going to happen. B, they say that some of the work that is being done is just really not up to a quality that they would like. And, of course, they say, too, that they just cannot pay a significant bill like that, and that ultimately they may end up losing their property and it go back to the public in the form of the LRA if they can't pay it. So we started digging into that issue, and we really started looking at the companies that the city has been hiring to do this work. And we have now, at this point, we've been working on this for weeks and have had several days of coverage. We have made significant ties to the St. Louis building inspector who oversees this program. He's part of the selection process, and he inspects the work as well on the back end. And he has ties to 3 of the companies that have been hired by the city of St. Louis in the millions of dollars now at this point. Over a couple different programs, these companies have been collecting a lot of money with ties to the city building inspector. So he has now resigned as of Friday, and the city has said they have launched an internal investigation.
Okay, so let's back up just a little bit, because you indicate in your reporting that you started looking into some of this a year ago because there was a program called Stable Communities STL, and that sets aside the pandemic relief, the ARPA funds, to, in your reporting says, to preserve, rehabilitate, demolish, and deconstruct privately owned property. Sounds like a good idea, right? So that gets set up, the money's in the bank accounts. Then how does it kind of unfold from there? If you can connect the dots a little slower for me.
Sure. I mean, and we first reported it last year. That's when the city announced that they were going to be doing this. And, we started hearing from some property owners, essentially, who say, I have some questions about the work that is being done. For example, we interviewed one property owner who has a very interesting idea for a new sort of business, turning an old car repair shop into a co-working space. And he was billed for repairing stairs. Well, it's a 1-story building. There's no stairs. He was billed for repairing the floor joist and the subfloor, but it's on a concrete slab. So things that just really were not adding up. And also, these are large dollar amounts. So the city claims it's to stabilize the property from a public health and safety standpoint. So if there's, we all, of course, know many buildings are starting to fall into disrepair in the city of St. Louis, and we don't want bricks falling on people or people to be injured. And so that's sort of the premise at which they come at it. But when you talk about $100,000, $200,000, in some cases $300,000 and $400,000 worth of stabilization work, again, you start to wonder, is that more of a significant repair? Plus, then you have these questions of essentially, I think the question is, are these contracts appropriate at all? Is the program constitutional? And was someone possibly inflating the contracts or getting paid inappropriately? And those are all still questions that are being vetted out right now.
Can you explain who Lakeisha Graham is and how she plays into this?
Yeah, she's a property owner that I actually found. So what I did is I requested through the Recorder of Deeds office copies of all of the liens that the city had filed against property owners, and I started to contact some of them. She does own a larger sort of commercial property on the north side that had been in her family for a long time. She only got the property a few years ago and had plans essentially to use the lot for another purpose. The building was in disrepair, and in fact, the city had already told her they were intending to demolish it, and she found another contractor who would demolish it for cheaper than what the city was going to do. And then all of a sudden, they said, no, you can't demolish it anymore, and you're going to be going into this program where we're going to stabilize the building. And she tried to do some repairs. She tried to work with them, but she didn't really know that the work had started. She lives in another state now, but she is still invested in this area. And she only learned from me that the city had placed a lien on her property, and we were actually out at her property, saw workers there who claimed they were working for the city of St. Louis doing repairs, and her lien is for $220,000.
I mean, this is really complicated, isn't it? I mean, and you mentioned the constitutionality, but are there crimes that were broken here? Laws that were broken?
That's certainly a question that I think a lot of people are asking at this point. We have a couple of people calling for an audit. I know that the state representative in South City, Steve Butts, has asked for the prosecutor to look at this. So I think there will be some ongoing reviews and investigations. The city says right now they are only conducting an internal investigation, because I did ask them if they were involving the police, and they said it's just an internal investigation at this point. But I think that's certainly a question. I think oversight is a major question that is still something we are working to seek answers on. They have said now this program is on pause. Apparently it was put on pause back in October, but they, again, we didn't find that out until we started asking questions. They say it's unrelated to the city building inspector as to why they put it on pause. But it is now on pause. Again, though, we've talked about a lot of pandemic funds that have already been paid out to these construction companies and people who already feel kind of harmed by this program. And at 6 o'clock, so you got some time if your viewers or your listeners would like to turn over to Channel 4, we're going to have another report talking about how these same companies are also involved in LRA properties and Prop NS, which I know you're familiar with. Not everybody is, but these Prop NS funds, which are used to stabilize LRA-owned, so public-owned properties, these same companies have had many contracts for that as well. So again, they've kind of had their hands in these two pots of money, and that is raising a lot of questions, Mark.
Great reporting as always, Lauren Trager. Fascinating. We'll see where it takes us. But thanks so much for jumping on here with me this afternoon, Lauren.
Well, and I appreciate it. If anybody has more information, please feel free to reach out to me. My email, my cell phone, very easy to find online. So please, I'm looking for more information. And certainly if anyone has intimate knowledge, I would love to hear from them.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Take care. I hope you get it, too, for sure. And she mentioned Steve Butts, and he was on the roundtable on Friday. Look, let me tie into this before I get to the break. And I appreciate Lauren coming on here and doing some great work. I want to get into the SLPS audit. I started the show with this, but some of the details, for those of you who don't have time to sift through all the paperwork related to the credit card charges, and I've only gone through half. I think I'm on page 75 of 150, and it is quite staggering. There are a lot of Southwest charges. This has to do with Keisha Scarlett, who was hired, obviously, in the spring of last year in 2023, and some of this spending kicks off right away. Now, she's from Seattle. She's bringing a bunch of people in from Seattle, but we have tons of Southwest Airlines charges, including, by the way, this is one of my favorites, early check-in. They didn't want to check in themselves, so they paid for the early boarding. There's a group called Identigo, which I think is something that does fingerprinting and background checks, but there were so many charges for this, $45.75, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times. You have agent fees. I should mention this with the Southwest Airlines bookings and any of the travel bookings. I guess they're going through a travel agent. They're getting billed. The taxpayers are, keep in mind, $35, $35, $35, $35. Party City had some money spent in it. Sam's Club, a lot of DoorDash charges, a ton of Amazon charges. They were sending flowers, several orders for florists. There was a club car wash charge. There was Massage Envy. I mentioned the airfare. I mean, a ton of airfare that was on here. Not only Southwest charges, they went to Japan. There was a Walmart charge for $1,500. There was a charge for Kona Ice for $519. Lake of the Ozarks, Branson, Chateau on the Lake Resort. Big charge there. There were different times when whoever was, whether it was Keisha or other people within St. Louis Public Schools, they were ordering a lot of food. Shake Shack, Dairy Queen, Sonic, Wingstop, Panera, Papa John's. There was a charge for the St. Louis Shirt Company for $3,800. Not sure what was involved there. Edible Arrangements, $351. Home Depot down in Louisville. They went to Home Depot in Louisville. There was an Airbnb. I think that one might have been for Japan. That was quite expensive. The Palmer House in Chicago, $317. Two charges on the 5th of October to the Chop House here in St. Louis, one for $300, one for $486. I thought this was out on the East Coast, but apparently there's a really nice place called the Gaylord National Resort. It's in Nashville, I'm told. There was a $1,700 charge, a $1,400 charge, and a $350 charge. The Hyatt Regency in Dallas was someplace that they stayed. In fact, I don't know if there were 8 nights, but there were 8 charges for $1,106. So you got about $10K racked up on the taxpayer dime just there at the Hyatt Regency in Dallas. The Hilton Philly, $2,800 in charges. Best Buy, PayPal. I mean, you're talking charges everywhere. If there's not a crime or crimes that were not committed here, we need new statutes on the book, because this was someone who came in with a $17 million surplus in the St. Louis Public School District and turned it into a, $32 million deficit like that. I mean, some of this stuff, like I said, I'm only through about half of the accounting here. This all happened in June, July, August, really, really, really fast before they put a stop to it. We're the board members on this that were approving this as well. Interesting questions. I know the aforementioned State Rep Steve Butts is all over this one as well. Audio cut of the day is coming up next.
No matter the season, keep hitting me better than me.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're southbound 270. You're slow going from about Olive down to Gravois, northbound side past 64. 170 southbound, delays left over from Forest Park Parkway down to 64. 70 eastbound, heavy just getting into the downtown area. We've got 64 eastbound, Jefferson over the Poplar Street Bridge, kind of heavy yet. And westbound side from Kings Highway to Hampton, Lindbergh to 270, 364 to 70. Sponsored by New Perspective Senior Living of Weldon Spring, Missouri. I'm Trent Erickson with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for New Perspective Senior Living in Weldon Spring. This brand new facility offers state-of-the-art independent or assisted living and memory care, and now has holiday specials on select apartments. Visit npseniorliving.com or call today to schedule a free lunch to experience senior living redefined for yourself. It's kind of fun when you go down into my basement in my home, because we have this new area that is sort of off of the main rec room, would you call it? Man cave, whatever you want to call it. That's where our bunny hutch is, and it's a play area for my daughter. So we pulled the carpet out of that area. We put some hard flooring that looks beautiful, and we did it with the help of Michael's Flooring Outlet here in St. Louis. Mike Reynolds and the team have a great reputation for customer service. I now can vouch for that firsthand, because we've done a couple of projects in the past couple of months, and it has been amazing. It's really kind of fun to go in. You're never quite sure how things are going to look. You take samples, you match it up, you make decisions. Then you let the experts come in and tear the carpeting out. How is it going to look? Every time I go into my basement this weekend, and it'll happen tonight when I'm home from the Jack Buck Awards, you have pride, because it looks really cool. The flooring looks great, and they did such an amazing job. If you have a flooring project, a hard flooring project, a carpeting project, whatever you need, go online, find out more. Michael's Flooring Outlet, igotfloored.com. They have 3 great locations. They're not open on Sunday, but every other day of the week. In fact, I had someone on my subdivision board say, hey, you got a carpet and flooring guy? I said, absolutely. Mike Reynolds at Michael's Flooring Outlet. igotfloored.com. They're in Old Town St. Peters, in Darden Prairie, in West County on Olive. They'll knock it out of the park for you. Michael's Flooring Outlet.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode, and if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with threats of intents to seize property or levy rights to property. If you have IRS issues, call the Lance Drury Firm today. Today, don't wait. Those IRS notices have hard deadlines for exercising your appeal rights. If you miss the deadline, your rights to a legal appeal are gone. Let the Lance Drury Law Firm get between you and the IRS today, and we'll help you manage your case to achieve the best outcome. IRS problems are serious legal matters, so call Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Don't wait. Call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, and schedule your free consultation with me, Lance Drury, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
Should GLP-1 weight loss medication like Wegovy and Zepbound cost hundreds of dollars? We don't think so. TryLifeMD.com helps provide insurance access to the leading GLP-1 medications. Visit TryLifeMD.com and check your eligibility for GLP-1 medication with copays as low as $0. Listen to Tara's story after losing 42 pounds.
You just take your shot. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. What I wasn't expecting it to do was to shut off the food noise. I had gone from 237 to 195. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
Get started right now and check your eligibility for GLP-1 medication with copays as low as $0 at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Tuesday, Amendment 3 may have passed in the last election, but Senator Adam Schnelting has filed a bill to challenge it. We'll talk to him at 8:20.
Weekdays from 5 to 9.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
On St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Wow, it's almost a week from Christmas Eve. Tomorrow, we'll be here the whole week. I'll be here on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Sue Thomas will be back, and we'll get you right up until Christmas. And then the whole team's going to kind of be apart until after the first of the year. Audio cut of the day is coming up here in just a moment. I'm not going to use this as audio cut of the day, but I did highlight this earlier, and I have a bit of a tie-in. Look, I guess, and here's what I'd say. One of the aspects of audio cut of the day is going to be on this school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin. You have 2 people dead. The numbers have kind of gone back and forth on that throughout the day. But I bring Madison up because, let's face it, you're going to hear calls, and you already are hearing calls. Doc Rivers, the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, said something today, gun control, right? Gun control. It's bad to have a school shooting. Just in case you're keeping score at home, it's good to kill a healthcare executive. We don't talk about gun control then. We cheer it on, like Chris Rock to a certain extent.
Actually killed a man with a family with kids, man. I mean, I have condolences. I'm going to have real condolences for, the healthcare CEO. I mean, this is a real person, But you also got to go, sometimes drug dealers get shot.
And I said earlier, I like controversial humor. Sometimes humor can be dark, but this one just eludes me completely. And are they going to make jokes on Saturday Night Live? That was the last episode before the first of the year. Would they make them about the school shooting? Here's something else that's even more disturbing. Not only one, I tweeted this out earlier, but now there's 2 high-profile documentaries that are already in the works about this guy, Luigi Mangione. I prefer in school shootings and anything like this to not even mention the guy's name. Well, everybody knows his name. He's now a folk hero, but you have big documentary producers, Stephen Robert Morse, who did the Amanda Knox documentary, and How to Rob a Bank, which was a very good, documentary, and then one of the guys that's involved in another, big documentary is going to get involved here and do something on this whole situation. How do you even know that you have a documentary based on what you know right now? I guess they think they do because there's so much anger about the healthcare industry, but that's something to keep an eye on.
Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
All right, a couple here. I mentioned the school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin. At first, we thought that 5 people had been killed. Then the number was reduced to 3. Here's some good news. It's now been reduced to really 1 person was killed, and then the shooter, who was also a student at the school, is also dead. The chief of police in Madison saying we don't know why.
Many of you have asked me about the why of this. Why did this happen? What do we know? What was the motivation? I do not know. But I will tell you this, our detectives are working hard in the investigative process to find out as many answers as we can so that we can further prevent these things from happening not only in this community, but in other communities around our country.
And he said that the day was interesting for Madison because there was some training that was going on.
Our training center is about 3 miles from there. We have a special event team medics, those that work with the fire department, responded to this particular scene from their training day. So what began as a training day became an actual day.
And maybe that was a good thing because they were there so quickly. And then President Trump, who held, I think it was almost 90-minute impromptu news conference on the topic of the drones out in New Jersey and beyond. Here's what he said.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you shoot them
down? They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster.
Yeah, they're asking if he'll shoot him down. I don't know that makes anybody feel better about the drone situation, but there's the answer from the next president this morning. Have a great night. Enjoy the football game, or I'll see you at the Jack Buck Awards. We'll talk tomorrow at 3.
Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
A little slow going on 170 southbound Forest Park Parkway down to 64. You've got 55 southbound delays Broadway to about Lindbergh, just in a couple pockets. Eastbound side of 64, heavy from Jefferson over the Poplar Street Bridge. Westbound side from Kings Highway to Hampton. Then you get a Lindbergh to 70 at 364 to 70 left over. This report is sponsored by GHR Contracting. I'm Trent Erickson with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Not many window companies do egress windows. Those are the ones used in basements or floors with no emergency exit. GHRcontracting.com. We offer same-day install and financing 0% for 18 months, and there's no hassle with price negotiation. Get an upfront quote on the phone. GHRcontracting.com.
The election is finally over. Now you can get the cash you need. This is James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. Did you know that today the average homeowner has over $200,000 in equity? Imagine what you could do with just $50,000 of that equity. Pay off your credit cards, do home improvements, or even pay off your auto loan. Golden Oak's mortgage rate is 5.25%. We have no fee to apply and no out-of-pocket costs. If you call today, you can get your cash in as little as 14 days and make no payments until next year. Don't forget our appraisal guarantee. If for any reason your loan doesn't close, we will pay for your appraisal. Call today and take advantage of our 5.25 fixed rate. But don't wait. This rate won't last forever. Call 314-567-GOLD. That's 314-567-GOLD. 6.19 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
And a lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, I'm usually much more active, but since I've been in pain, I've had to limit the activities I'm doing.
You're listening to Janelle, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
So he came in and he wanted to be able to keep up, play sports with his kids. And from there, we figure out which arch supports complement.